Hello.
Hello
Here we
there.
go. So, who remembers and wants to recap last time?
We kidnapped
Consequences.
someone.
Yep.
Consequences for our actions.
So we tore our way through the castle, non-lethally destroying guards.
As we do.
They definitely know we're here. And eventually we get to a kind of, courtyard area with, 4 color-coded Power Rangers of guards.
Excuse me, those were the Wiggles. How dare you?
Yeah, they were the Wiggles.
Yeah, okay. There was, and, we had a big old fight. Some of them were, there was an Asmar in there, some of them were resisting certain kinds of damage. Eventually we knocked them all down. We stole all their weapons, and we kidnapped Corbin. Because we wanted his armor, because we realized Calder didn't have any nice armor.
Like the good, honorable people we are, to give a gift to our friends, we committed a minor crime.
We zoom over to Walton so that when people are looking in on us, they don't see us. They don't see too much information, as well as Corbin not getting too much information. We tie him up in a shed. We give Calder his armor, which fits the Calder because magic. Yeah, we're gonna send his unconscious ass through the tree. Alsana is a cat for a bit. King gets a bath in a water sphere. We scry in on the Corbin from our world, and he's pretty similar. Just kind of hanging out with friends, all of the other ones we saw. During the night, Alsana gets a dream from the Chief Warden. Discovered the location that we can cleanse the robes. We have to climb a mountain near a tree that she is showing us. She was showing Alsana in the dream, so Alsana could jump to it. And apparently the one we're looking for is on the top. It's a Kieran. We have to basically prove ourselves by traveling up the mountain on, not explicitly foot, but making our way there. Just floating on the room will be fine, but like going up and then to the side and not even touching the ground once, probably not for the best. We have to basically trial through struggle and hardship for the Bright One. And we've also, if we speak honestly, things should be okay. Alsana was worried about, the unicorn horn and where did you get that? I don't believe you. We let the chief know about how things went in Umbarian. She says she's holding onto the robes until we get back to Deep Thicket. But then we go, wait, no, quick link delivery service. So we can transport to the tree if we'd like. Alsana zoops into an owl looking around. Mori is not too keen on it. And then Lars has some dreams. Some spooky dreams of an abandoned Walton, and he sees Aurora, but not Aurora, and it's spooky and nightmare. And he fails the save, and he doesn't get the benefits of a long rest. And so that was kind of where we left off. With him awakening, kind of giving a shout.
With that, everybody who was asleep, Kane, Calda, Mori, except Corbin, who is medically induced slumber, wakes up with a start. As you hear Ilaris cry out, Alsana, you are already awake and on watch. It is the thin hours of dawn. There's a pale light outside, but not fully sunrise yet.
So I was gonna rush over to Lars, hey, whoa, easy, easy.
What the hell's going on?
Probably just a nightmare or something.
John, you're muted.
Nightmare. Bad one.
Called it.
It's okay. You're here now. Breathe.
And he's going to explain everything that happened in the nightmare.
Can also on his passive arcana.
Go ahead and do an Arcana check,
Alright.
but it won't be difficult. You recognize a dream spell, having been contacted by one and having actually managed to use one for probably the first time. You know in theory how they work. You know in theory that while the means of actually having conversations and relaying messages through dreams is perhaps a little more commonly used, there is a darker twist on the spell, wherein the message is much shorter, the vision is monstrous, and if it strikes somebody in a bad way on a bad night, and they don't have the fortitude, it's something that can actually kill an ordinary person, potentially, with the sheer terror of it. Thankfully, it's something that's not often in the grasp of the sort of people who would want to use it on an ordinary person. But still, it's a combination of one of those things that's not uncommonly known in a boogeyman sort of way, but in the more arcane circles of understanding, you can pretty much figure out what happens.
It is a
to Laura.
danger, but it is not this like amorphous who knows danger.
Yes. It's also something that you know that you and your companions are hardy enough to withstand.
Yep.
It's not going to exhaust him, but it would be an inconvenience if somebody were to cast it night after night, and if somebody were to be so dedicated to it.
Mm-hmm. Though she also knows it's a decently high level spell.
Yes, that as well. It would definitely be a resource to expend.
Sana just kind of like gives a quick more fussing than anything medical checkup of Alaris. Like pulls one of the eyelids up.
Yep, you notice that there's a little bit of a crust of blood in one of his ears. The eardrum isn't ruptured, and there's a little bit underneath his nose. Not enough to make a fully bloody nose, but there are little subtle signs of him taking psychic damage.
Everyone else got the long rest though, right?
Yes.
Alright.
Okay, we're just gonna. Well, all right now, or think it'd be good to go.
Elias?
Yeah.
All right.
I think I'm good to go.
All right. Well, Asana, do you want to open the portal and I'll throw him through the tree?
Yes, let's.
All right. I'll heft the guy over my shoulder. I'll leave a. Can I? He looks to Asana. It's like, any complaints if I leave a small note just explaining, like, hey,
That
We
could be used for
we didn't do
scrying.
anything to him.
Yeah, that could be iffy.
I was gonna leave him a note because he was a very good fighter in general, but also again, scrying.
We can send him a letter afterward before we leave.
Oh, hold on. No, I got it. He takes out I'll take a bit of mud off the ground, and he just writes "sorry" on the dude's chest.
Yes, I was hoping. All right.
It's not an object.
It's not
can't
gonna
use
be.
it.
Yeah, it's not gonna be something they'll be able to use to scry.
Yeah. Also, you go like this, like
The closest you can think is maybe it's Kane's handwriting, but that would be a stretch to call what he did handwriting. So no.
Yeah, it was finger painting.
Poor man.
That
Well,
works.
on the side as well. Ariel.
Yeah.
Does Alsana know with scrying, like, would if they were to like give him some money as compensation, that wouldn't be basis for any. Like they were given that gold like not too long ago. It's not even from their own side.
Again, we already gave him the big necklace. It's fine.
The gold that you took off of him?
We already got the big
Yeah,
necklace. It's fine.
no.
No, you guys gave him a
gold-
necklace. That's right.
Yeah, coinage is not going to be personal enough in most cases, unless somebody's got a real weird, like, emotional attachment to a particular coin. You know,
Yep.
this is my
It's
lucky
the first
copper. I
dollar.
keep it in my pocket at all times. Then you might be able to scry with it, but otherwise, not.
Okay, we'll heft the dude onto his shoulder like a shot put. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Corbin.
All right.
Yep,
Very-
you've been a good pal, and I kind of pat him on the cheek.
Very
His
quiet.
head kind of lolls a little bit, and his mouth is open, and there's a.
You know,
Very
no,
good
hold on.
guest.
Alsana is going to
What else are you gonna
she's
do
gonna
to this
she's
man?
gonna find just like a very basic adhesive she has,
Uh-huh.
Oh,
and she
no.
wants to
You
put a
got the
coin on
staff?
each of his eyes,
Why? Why?
Why?
just in case he rolls down a hill. It's proper respects.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. If I tossed him through a portal and he dies from falling down a hill, whatever hell he's going to, it's gonna come after me. It's not gonna come after him. And I'm
We
sure
know-
whoever finds him will bury him.
We know what tree we're tossing him in. Hey, we know there's no hills. It's in the fucking courtyard.
Well,
And again, if he does die, they'll bury him.
it's
It's fine.
some compensation.
I put the gold necklace around his neck.
And a
I
bit,
think he's okay.
nothing hurts
The
for a
gold
bit more.
necklace is currently kind of dangling off his chin as his head's upside down right
As a
now.
reminder, this isn't a normal sized necklace. This is a giant owned necklace.
Yep.
He's a very hardy man. You saw how long it took to get him down.
Well, let's leave it there, anyways. And she opens the
Alright.
she opens the tree.
With a gold necklace dangling off of his face and 2 gold coins stuck to his eyelids by tree sap.
Oh, Jesus. I throw him as hard as I can through the tree.
Wrapped in his cloak edged in purple, but very little else. Underclothes. He has underclothes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The tree opens up into a short tunnel through which you can see just a little bit of that courtyard.
So long,
Okay.
good Draugr.
You take him off your shoulder,
There's
give him a
mighty
bit of a
yeet.
heave, and woof, with a of limbs and a tangle of the cloak, he rolls to a stop on the other side.
And also
It's
close.
There's
like
a-
dust the hands off each other. Just
there's-
hit.
There's a beat of silence, and then, what the bloody? The tree closes.
Oh, well, that was nice.
Oh, I've been wanting to throw someone like that for a while.
You can just throw me across the room whenever you want.
Yeah, but you're compact. It's too easy.
Oh, really?
If you're not resisting, yeah, it's pretty easy.
So this is player forgetting what own player has done. Where did Alsana direct the quicklings to bring the cloak again?
We are going to.
You haven't
transport-
cast it yet.
So, Devin, your original plan was to go to the, Violet, that tree at the bottom,
Mhm.
and then send the Quickling to Deep Thicket, grab the cloak, and run back.
Right, yes, because it was closer from there.
Yeah, also so we can just get right up the mountain and stuff.
Yep. All right, that was brain.
Yeah, and there's
so,
no Marimore to cross.
So yeah, Alsana's going to go ahead and zoop over to that tree she was given. in her dream.
Alright. One more casting of transport via plants, and you appear in the foothills of the Violet Mountains, beneath the spreading tree that you saw in your dream. It is early in the morning, so the shadows cast are different. In your dream, it was an indefinable midday sort of lighting. But once there, you're able to sit down, cast your other spell to summon 2 quicklings. They come fairly quickly and easily, though I would like a quick D100 roll.
All right.
I do forget it fairly often, and it's for fun.
44.
44. Just you get 2 little quicklings at your feet, and they immediately zoom around your where you're standing like 5 times in succession, causing a wind that stirs the bottoms of your robes before they crash into each other right in front of you. Fall back briefly, pop up, back up on their feet, look up at you, and go, "Yeah, what do you want? What do you want?
Evening,
Call-
gentlemen.
Evening, evening,
Uh,
evening? Is it evening? I don't know what evening it is.
Morning, actually.
Morning.
Is it morning? What's morning mean?
Uh,
I don't understand morning.
All right.
Exactly what you think it means.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
I have a job for you two.
Oh, good, good.
I need you to go collect a cloak from a elderly woman over in the middle of the deep thicket.
Speak a little faster. You're a little slow right now.
Alsana will try her best. I will not.
Yep, that's fine.
um,
Mhm.
and basically give them directions.
Also, maybe we want to specify which old woman, so they don't
Yes,
just
no,
rob
yeah,
someone.
no, the specifically the chief warden of the Deep Thicket in the middle of the forest over there. If they happen across any hunters or scouts, that elven scouts, they might be able to point them in the proper direction.
Yeah, okay, we can go get that.
It should be a darker shaped robe, looks magical, and just right back here.
All right. And in the course of your explanation, they had to stop and do zoomies several times around your feet, but they seem to catch everything. And with that, they kind of do a little dance, a little jig on the spot. And so, can we go now? Can we go? Can we go? Can we run?
3,
It's time to run.
2, 1.
They're gone.
I kind of just look at her. It's like, if you handed one of those things an arrow and told them just to stab someone with it, it would fly faster than a bow.
Probably. If it didn't get distracted on the way.
I mean, as long as it stabs someone, you know, arrow's an arrow.
Those things are impressively quick.
Their names are literally quicklings.
Oh.
Huh.
Wonder what it'd be like to throw one of them. Before
Hmm.
they fly.
I don't think you could get your hands on them.
Well, if they ran up a ramp, you think they'd just take flight?
She shrugs.
I think I strap her.
I think gravity's a bit too slow for them, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if I strap a piece of wood in their back, throw until they're flat, maybe I can make them glide.
What is gravity? Did we not notice gravity being different on the Feywild or something? They seem akin to some different kind of gravity.
They're akin of a different sort, alright. Shall we wait a bit?
For them to come back?
Mhm.
Sure.
How long should it take them?
Let's get away from the tree first, but... actually, let's get out of sight from trees if we can.
That's probably for the best.
Actually, hold on. I pull up my tent and I just set it up.
That'll work.
Kane, you are about halfway through getting the tent pole in place when those with higher passive perception, Alsana,
Mhm.
probably some of the others, see a dark shape just vroom across the grass towards you. It comes to a stop, and it is a neatly folded cloak, a little rumpled at the edges, held up by 2 upheld arms. 4 upheld arms, 2 on each.
Wonderful show, gentlemen.
That was horrifyingly fast.
Yeah, we're pretty quick.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
Ah, noticed. Have you ever tried to fly?
Can't say we really have. No, not really.
Would you like to?
You got wings? Got wings?
I mean, you may not need any.
Like a little pixie? I hate pixies. Yeah, they're so snooty. Yeah. So, what do you got in mind, big guy? Big slow.
Pull out a shield. Say, both of you hang on to one of the handles and then just jump off a, I don't know, 3-foot tall ledge. See if you guys glide
I
with
would
it.
advise that.
That's
Okay,
heavy.
okay, and they grab the shield and vroom off with
I,
it.
That was a
Okay.
good shield.
I
right?
could no, I continue setting up the tent.
Wait, you can not do that anymore, Kane.
I mean, they have a will of their own.
Yes, and also we're going now.
Oh.
Alsana, you feel
Okay.
your connection to the spell just as they go splat.
Oh, a 3-foot tall cliff? That was really enough?
Alzana pinches the bridge of her nose. They are quick, they're not hardy.
3 feet? I didn't think that'd be enough. What do you mean they're not hard?
I'm sure they did something stupid.
I think the shield crushed them.
Oh, shit.
You're not
Gave
going
them
and getting it.
something.
It's probably 3 miles that way.
I can roll a perception check, see if I can see my shield.
Roll perception. You don't see your shield in the immediate vicinity, but you
Oh.
remember which direction it went.
Does it happen to be the same direction we're going?
It's a little bit of a tangent to the side. It's not directly towards the mountain, but
We're leaving.
We can just pass by and pick it up.
It's out of the way. You have your other shields.
Let's not leave artifacts for ourselves behind. We found. I've had that shield for a very long time. Do you really want to risk it?
Well, I guess you can run and catch up.
I mean, do you really trust me alone in these mountains? Also, where I could be scryed on without anyone being able to notice?
You see, this feels like you wanting to use the benefits of doing something wrong without ever admitting you've done something wrong.
No, I'm just genuinely concerned, because one screw up and we all have a very angry Alsan on our tails.
Then why, pray tell, did you give them the shield and tell them to run off with it?
Thought it'd work.
And your grasp of aerodynamics has been oh so reliable in the past.
The hell's an aerodynamic?
Exactly.
At least you don't have to worry about the quicklings. Either way, let's pass by, just pick it up.
This is the player looking at the other player. Conrad, Jesus fucking Christ, go one session without a side tangent.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alsana's saying this to me?
Yes.
Excuse me.
No,
Who is
Devin's saying this
me?
to you.
Oh my god.
Devin is saying this to me, who
Yes.
plays Alsana?
Yes.
In that case, I'll have to politely...
You are the blockhead orc right now. I am playing pure side tangent.
Yeah, so am I. Just we have very different tangents.
No, you're playing yourself. And those
So
are
are
through
you.
everything. But you're playing yourself. Anyways,
So are you.
we're gonna go get the shield.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you head off in roughly the direction they took. Anybody who would like to can go ahead and roll a survival check to see if you can pick up on any sort of tracks or disturbance they may have left behind.
Yeah, why the fuck not?
Is there not like a jet trail behind them?
Not exactly. These are subtle.
They're
subtle.
light.
They got little feet.
I know.
14, 9, potentially with guidance, but still. Alright. Elaris, do you want to help with this, or are you just tagging along?
Survival check.
Yep. To track some quicklings that ran off with a shield.
Oh dear. Here we go. Give me a sec here.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Do we find a shield?
18. Okay. Alright, so you head off in about the right direction. Pretty quickly, Alsana, Calda, you
Alsana
realize
doesn't care.
yeah, okay, you don't care. You realize that you're not really seeing much in the way of tracks or disturbances left behind. Maybe you start looking around for any sort of ledge, stump, rock that they might have jumped off. Maybe not. Up to you. Kane, you think that you can see a little bit of a parting in the grass here and there where maybe the shield knocked against something or flattened something on the way. But Elaris, you notice a couple of scuff marks here and there on a stone that's poking out of the ground, on a fence post enclosing a pasture. And then, as you reach further into that pasture, going up a hill, you look down and you see a couple of young men standing beside a very tall standing stone, pointing at something on the ground and apparently arguing with each other.
Is it Devin
You
and Connor?
You see the shield on the ground between them.
Ken just smiles and says, "Can I please go scare the locals? Do you want to help me with this?"
What
No.
do you have in mind?
Well, I generally look pretty imposing, and I have the ability to frighten if I need to. You have the whole Wicked Witch persona, and Lars can look like whatever he wants, and we have a little mountain on our side, so...
I don't
Plus,
know. I can
we're all a bunch of mysterious cultist-looking motherfuckers with masks.
Then we
consider
don't
myself
need
that.
stories going around in the area. I do it back home, where I want my name to be through local legends.
Odd concept, but alright. Well, in that case, we still have to go together. We can't exactly split apart, so... Unless you want to just, leave it behind. Just mildly concerned what will happen to it. Actually, how far away is it?
And you've got a good 100 feet, 150 maybe. You're seeing this kind of at a distance.
Yeah, Lars, think you can get within like 50 feet of that thing quietly?
I can try.
I will hand him the rod as a 50-foot pole. I think you can do it while holding this.
That might be a little more difficult.
Oh, Jesus.
You're not noticed. Carry on.
Yep. Sorry, I just love this whole conversation.
I really don't. I really hope they at least notice the 50-foot pole. Like, it's a 50-foot pole.
Yeah, true. Alternatively, I could just shoot an arrow in the direction, scare them off.
I want to hear what they're arguing about.
Just saying.
I feel like it'd be kind of funny if we hear what they're arguing about. Just,
Right?
I don't know.
Down below, it looks like the argument is wrapping up.
Oh shit, we missed it. Okay, let's just go get the.
Screw this.
One of-
Alsana turns into a bear.
I was waiting for something like that. Like, come on.
Bear.
You got the easiest solution. Just do it.
Yeah.
Okay, you turn into a bear. Any particular kind of bear?
Large
size,
bear.
type. Very large. Okay. All right.
Black bear.
Mm-hmm. Turn into a great big bear on the hillside. What do you do now? Because they haven't noticed you yet, but one of them
King drops
is
prone.
throwing his hands up and kind of going off in a bit of a huff. The other one is bending down and picking up the shield.
just gonna
Kane drops prone.
I'm just gonna at like a brisk jog of a bear.
All right. Well, you're clearly calling attention to yourself. So each one of them. The one stalking off doesn't immediately seem to notice you. The one picking up the shield brushes it off for a moment, looks it over, and then glances up, sees you. You see his eyes go wide, and he yells, "Bear! Bear!" The other one whirls around. "Oh God, what? Get the flock! Get the flock! Scare it off!" You see the one drop the shield, fumble for his cloak behind him, and he does the thing where he flings the cloak out wide with his arms and starts to bellow and flap it at you. You know enough about animals that an ordinary bear, this would probably be like a hold on a minute. That's bigger than I thought sort of situation. What do you do?
The bear's gonna and then sit down and then a claw through the cloak and cut it in half.
He screams, falls back, and then huddles down on the ground playing dead. The other one is, he started to book it but then stopped, turned around, and is starting to kind of back up a little bit. He's got a staff in his hands, really more of a shepherd's staff, and brings it around in front of him. And between that and the flock mention, and your new bear hearing, you can hear very distant flock noises
Bear's
in
going.
the area.
Yeah, Bear's going to lean down to the one on the floor, give a sniff of the pockets.
You can smell probably his lunch. Bit of bread, little cheese. There's an apple in there.
I'm sure you could smell his lunch because he shit himself.
No.
You're terrible.
You do smell a little bit of a sharp scent of fear as well, as he's trying to breathe very slowly and play dead, but there's a bit of a hitch in that.
Practically hear his heartbeat.
Where is the lunch exactly? Just like side pocket?
Oh Jesus! Hey,
There is a pouch on the side of his belt.
Okay. Bear will just kind of
Kind of
pull
a
that pouch
burlap
off.
and spring. Roll bear dexterity, just for how cleanly
Dexterity?
you can do it. Dexterity, yes.
What is Bear's dex?
I think it's +0, but I have no clue.
Are the rest of you just standing on the hill?
I'm staying prone so I don't get
Oh
squeezed.
yeah.
Let's see.
The other guy sees you and starts going, "Help! Help! Bear! Please help!"
Run! Just run! It's too
Run!
late!
Here, just
He's
run
already-
up here.
He's already gored me!
Just run away.
Bear dex is just 5.
Mhm.
All right, you the claws are a little cumbersome and clumsy and not suited to this. The knots are small. You kind of end up like tearing it off of his belt, and the bag splits open, and the food kind of tumbles out of it.
Bear is going to just like pick up some of the food, put it on the shield, and then bite the shield and hold it and trot off with it like it's on a plate.
That's going to be a dexterity check at disadvantage
Oh, come on.
to keep it balanced.
7.
7? Like the apple rolls off and bounces away, but the hunk of cheese actually has just enough grip to stay on there, and you do lose the bread halfway
Okay.
as well. But you got cheese on a shield.
Barrel trot off.
Are you trotting off in the direction of the others, or
No,
completely different?
no, other direction. Maybe
Okay.
partially the way, but not directly.
The way we need to go, maybe.
Yeah,
Kind of at an angle.
yeah. How about the way we're supposed to be going?
Yep. Okay. All right. So you trot off that way. The rest of you are on a hill. You guys see, as the guy who was still upright kind of pauses for a moment, hesitates, and then runs up to check on his friend, who is still on the ground, holding very, very still. You see him kind of
with his
bend down
belt
and
missing.
shake him.
Kane just slaps the two of their ankles, like pretend like I'm gored, and let me limp off quickly.
King Shepherd's up their lunch.
So after Alsana has gotten a decent ways away, Bear is going to eat the cheese and then proceed to claw the shit out of the shield.
That's
Yeah.
just excessive.
Okay. You can do so easily enough.
Just like scratching the paint, or you actually like trying to make it useless?
Going to make it not useless, like she's not tearing off the handle or anything, but just like deep gouges and teeth marks and dents.
It's
It
Kane's
is-
shield. It's dented all the time.
It has been newly redecorated.
Oh. It's not
It
even
is
the shield I use normally.
Style.
It's been bear dazzled.
And I'm the one going on a tangent.
Calder's just like gonna meet up with Barrelson and just go, okay, you're done. Oh my god, it's okay. Are we done?
Just looks at us like, I feel like you almost enjoyed that.
I think she did.
Yeah, I take the shield in her mouth.
Do you want bear scritches now?
Moof.
Calder gives bear scritches.
I take the shield and I smack her on the rump with it.
The bear's gonna bite ya.
Go for it.
Roll an attack. That's a bear.
Uh,
Oh my god. I should have changed the music ages ago.
actually,
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Please just put on Amazing Plan.
No,
There we go.
Amazing Plan is the one down. Now is it gonna play?
It's playing
Yeah.
both of them at once.
Yeah, you bite. Go ahead.
Yep. A hit.
Yep.
Roll damage. Roll bear damage.
Jesus Christ, guys.
You can lessen it if you would like. because-
Max damage.
Bear-
It's Alsana. She struck me with lightning for a joke.
Yep. No, bear's gonna nip back if you smack it on the ass.
Where do you
Yep.
bite him?
Probably like
On the
on the
shield?
hand. Yeah, like on the hand on the shield. Like get the fangs like in between that, like the gloves and the like bracer.
Mhm.
Yep. I look her directly in the eyes and go, I will knock you out of that form if you don't let go.
Calder's going to grab
It was just a bite. It was not a like dragon pull or anything. It was just
Oh,
a.
as soon as she turns around, he's already waiting for this. He's expecting the fight.
Calda,
Yeah,
I
bear,
believe
let
you
go.
can roll a grapple check.
Yeah, I'm just gonna grapple the fucking bear. Oh fuck.
The bear will give you a hug back, like a friendly. Yeah, literal bear hug.
I love you too, Alsana. Please turn back. I just really want. Let's just do
Hey,
this.
hey, Calda, do you think you can bench press a bear?
I don't want to try right now. I want to climb this mountain and get cloaked on.
The bear just like gives Calda a hug, and then Alsana's giving the bear a hug.
Alsana's giving the bear a hug.
Alsana's giving Calda's the bear physically. And physical strength.
Yeah.
Bit of a stretch there.
I was gonna make. I was gonna make a joke.
You know what?
I let it go, come
you
on.
know what? Phrasing. Yeah. What's called the
Um,
strength bonus right now?
+5. Right?
Yeah, you literally have the strength of a bear.
That's
Yeah,
fair point.
and with Alsana back, Calder's just gonna hoist up Alsana and start walking.
I look at Alsana as the bear and just go, okay, I kind of want to see if I
As
can
the
get
bear.
the bear. And then I kind of want to see if I can lift a bear. Will you let me try?
Alsana's not a bear anymore.
Oh, did you switch? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Also moved back.
Between your stumbles, I couldn't tell.
Alsana, you mauled him with your bare hands.
Yes. And then Alsana will pull the broom like off her back and then like begin floating on it as Caldo's carrying her, and then Alsana will pull Caldo up onto the broom.
Oh, heck yeah.
You
Calder
almost seem
pulls
like-
off onto the brim also. I don't want to try.
See, Alsana, you got the chance to torment some villagers like you always do. You're welcome. And you got cheese.
What's the point if they don't know? It's just a bear to them. It's an intelligent bear. There's gonna be a story of an intelligent bear, and I'm okay with that. But I feel like I could have done more
Yes, but you know,
if
you
we
can't-
weren't, if we weren't here.
If your other option is to torment no villagers, partial tormentation without the actual what's the word? Prestige of it all? Isn't that something worth it at least?
I guess so.
And-
And she munches on a piece of cheese.
And you got to obfuscate my shield.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel better about it all at least?
She takes another bite of the cheese. The cheese helps.
Is it good cheese?
And
Oh, what kind of cheese is it?
and she hands Caldo a piece. Right? Ariel, in all your deep knowledge of the setting, what kind of cheese did these shepherds have?
Homemade.
Definitely homemade, and it's
Goat cheese?
probably made from, yeah, it probably actually is made from goat's milk instead of cow.
That's
Um,
good cheese.
So it's kind of, it's a little bit more on the, how to describe it?
Pungent.
For one thing, a bit.
That's a really nice umami.
It's not badly made. It's not gourmet stuff, but pretty good, pretty solid.
Alsana just like takes some, like as they're floating, just takes some like basic crackers out of her rations.
Okay. So, as you have a float and a snack, and others walk, you guys begin heading your way through the foothills of this mountain. Once you get back on track, you find a fairly clear trail that seems to curve gently towards the mountain through these hills. And as you travel, you see that, well, you already saw too, but the area seems to be somewhat sparsely inhabited, but inhabited all the same. You don't see anything as concentrated as a town or a village or a hamlet, but you do see the occasional hut, small homestead dotting the hillsides. You see a number more flocks of sheep grazing under keepers' watches. As the sun comes up, there's a bit of a sharp nip in the air that remains despite the sunrise. But otherwise, the sky is fairly clear, a few clouds up near the mountain's peak. There's no wind to make the weather any worse. It's relatively calm. In fact, as you head towards the base of the mountain and the start of the trees that cloak its sides, you actually have maybe one or two friendlier interactions with a few shepherds or simple people also traveling on the trail to some house or other who wave in passing, call out a greeting to you as travelers, with no knowledge that very recently you committed crimes against one of their kind.
That wasn't me, that was the bear.
Absolutely. In time, there will be rumors, but for now, it is a fairly quiet stretch of travel. I'm catching up on the chat a moment. Alright. Soon enough, you come upon the edge of the woods. The very last, ironically, the very last person that you encountered along the way saw the way you were going, didn't so much strike up conversation as offer a friendly bit of advice. As you're heading into the forest, careful, it's bear season. Don't get between them and their berries and mushrooms and so on, but make a show of it and you'll be fine.
don't know. I think bears like cheese too.
Berries.
Really?
Yeah, keep that cheese close to you.
Well, I'll be sure to keep an eye on my lunch then. Safe travels.
Take care.
Rumors and bears say. Thank you. All right. So, as you enter the trees and that bit of sunlight that had been warming your backs as you traveled slowly starts to get cut off by the trunks and the foliage. Some of these trees on this lower elevation, the leaves have been changing color. It is, they aren't bare yet. Choice of words, given recent events before.
Bear.
I thought you were doing it on purpose.
I didn't think. The branches still have leaves on them, let's put it that way. And many of those leaves are still green, but quite a few have turned to yellow, some to brown. A few have fallen to crunch underfoot. But as you begin to travel through the woods and up the mountainside, finding the slope of the ground growing somewhat steeper and somewhat more broken, you begin to find that the trail you were following is starting to become confused. Currently, the way is clear enough, but you're starting to see diversions in the path, splits at points, with separate walking paths that branch off, perhaps towards things like watering holes and other local interests. And eventually, you do hit a point where it's not terribly clear which path you would need to follow, or if either would suffice to go further up the mountain. So, anybody who would like to can go ahead and make a survival check to stay on course.
I'll send Mori out to at least one of the ways.
Mhm.
Okay.
To be like Yoko.
Alright, with Owl Scouting, you can go ahead and make the survival check at advantage, having a little bit more information.
Sorry, was that a group survival or just one?
Anybody who would like to.
You're doing great, Calda.
Ah, shit!
Doing better than me, Calda.
To survival guidance on herself.
Oh, thank God.
One of us can see. Oh, she's well fed, so.
Hmm.
You know what to say about cheesehead in the vision.
Kane's too hungry. He
Yeah.
didn't get any cheese.
I hungry
Alright.
to talk.
Alright, Calder, you send Mori to scout, but at the limits of telepathic and connection and vision, you're still not really sure which way is actually going to be best. Kane, you get your heart set on one, but without much in the way of certainty, aside from whatever certainty you would give yourself. Alsana, you're fairly certain that though they both kind of wind upwards, one of them very quickly seems like it has the foot traffic and the surrounding environment, the plants and so on, that indicate it would dip down into more of a depression, probably another path towards a watering hole. You bank on the other, and you lead the party along. And the trail begins to curve further and further upwards, starting to take on more of a winding aspect as it tracks back and forth to combat some of the increased gradation of the land, so that you aren't fully struggling up slopes at insane degrees.
Kane looks over to Alsana and just, by the way, why are we here?
To get that cloak cleansed.
Right.
Are you alright?
No, I just forgot why we were here. I thought we were going back to the forest today.
Well, sounds good. Give a glance, like, with her passive
The
message.
player forgot why we were here, okay?
With her passive message, Kane hasn't been drinking, right?
We had an entire recap, dude.
Yeah, and I forgot briefly why we were here.
Kane hasn't been
I
drinking,
forgot what I had to
right?
do with these mountains.
That's up to Conrad.
No, I just forgot for a second.
Kane hasn't been drinking.
It's Canara's eyes and
I think that all during breakfast.
Look, I think I might have eaten a bad berry, okay?
Kane, have you been snacking on berries as you walked?
Of
There are
course.
quite a few. All right.
Yeah, he's got a passive survival of 16. He
Yeah,
feels
that-
confident, at least in
Yeah.
his mind, that he can do that.
yeah, I've got
Okay.
passive perception of 21.
That's fine. Passive survival tells you most of the time what berries are correct to eat.
Most
Unfortunately, I rolled a 1.
Kane, you've been avoiding the green ones.
Unfortunately,
not
on this side,
difficult.
green and red are the opposite.
It's not difficult. Most of these are very ripe and very full. There's quite a few good berry bushes in the area, and quite a lot of forage with that passive survival, really.
I'm
Is
just
Calder
munching on a berry
asking
and
that?
No.
Okay.
Kate's just munching on a berry, like, yeah, I think one of these might have been poisonous, but yeah, I'll survive.
You fool.
Oh god.
Go on.
No.
I figured, okay, first of all, if it's poison, you could tell. Second of all, I was just wondering if you want. These ones are fine. I've been in these for like
Every,
half a mile now.
everybody go ahead and roll a quick perception check.
Okay. Jesus. I'm not even gonna bother rolling. Fuck.
Alsana, you probably knew what to expect, and you hear the little crunch and the waffling noise as Kane is standing there with a handful of blackberries, eating them.
Fantastic. I'm so glad that's where I wanted to.
And not too far behind him, far enough, but within a good bow shot, you see, kind of pushing through some of the underbrush, a large, very fat brown bear
Okay, just keep
with
munching.
its little eyes fixed on Kane and the little nose twitching.
Let me double check something. I don't remember exactly what spells I get from
I really want Kane to wrestle with a bear, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my god.
When you say very large, we're talking very large for D&D terms, or like a normal brown bear?
A fairly normal brown bear, but
Okay.
kind of fat for in preparation for hibernation season.
Yeah, just wanted to check, because we do have that forest full of giant creatures to the south of us.
Yeah, it's not giant. It is large.
It's hefty.
Oh yeah,
Kane,
it's a heavy bear.
didn't they warn against having berries?
Let's just keep walking for now. Kane, maybe just leave those berries.
Oh, no, that's fine. He just like throws the rest of the handful in his mouth. He'll like wipe off his hands, like drop the last one or two that were on his hands and keep walking.
Kane, I'm going to need you to trust me when I say things.
Last time I did that, you scarred the shit out of my shield. And then bit
Because
me.
you did something on
They
your own
trust one.
that
didn't say
we've
trust one.
realized was not the best thing to do. Let's keep moving.
There's a waffle and a snort, and the bear starts to slowly kind of approach you in a sideways manner.
Hold on. Just can't notice.
Yeah, you notice.
I look over to the bear and I just smile and says, "Hey, it's a bear."
Mm,
Again, kind of just tries to make like a non-threatening motion to the bear. Just like, "Hey, I need to fight you, man. Look, hands are empty. No food in me."
They're not that nice.
Usual
Just
bears
say-
like scritches?
hmm. It's not animal handling because it's not a domesticated animal. I'll
Is that
say
what animal
that
handling is
Kane-
for? I thought that was for any animal.
Yes, it's domesticated animal specifically. It's for handling horses.
Shit, that's what
and
I was going
that sort
for.
of
Whoops.
and dogs. However, I will go ahead and let you roll. I believe it would be something wisdom based. Go ahead and roll survival.
Yeah,
I
that's the same
believe you're
bonus.
proficient with that. So
I'm proficient with animal
yeah.
handling too, so.
Good. Okay.
Alsana is going to give a flick on the back of his head for guidance.
Alright, cool.
All right, go for it. Roll that
17?
D4. 17. You get the sense that the bear is a little less interested in you personally, but is ready to regard you as a potential threat to the berry bushes you are not far away from. If you can increase the distance between you and those berry bushes while not being threatening and not making any sudden moves, you'd probably be okay.
Yeah, and I'll just look at the bear and. Oh, I don't want to have to startle you, dude. Here, and I'll just like start walking backwards, away from the bush. It's all yours. I'm not gonna fuck with it.
Everybody else?
No, Alsana's like, I'm surprised you actually put that together.
Although,
I know what wildlife is like, also.
How many bears
the-
have you run into in the marsh?
Not necessarily bears, but I understand stuff near food is threatening to thing that wants to eat food. Look at how fat that bear is. Of course it wants to eat.
Just keep going.
Calder probably like just noticed the bear when Kane started talking to it.
Mm-hmm.
Perception of
A
7.
little
She's like,
bit-
oh shit.
Little
He
distracted.
shrugs too. It's like, and if it didn't work, I was scared off.
Oh, but I
Alright.
don't want to scare him. He
Yeah,
looks
that's why I
nice.
didn't do anything. But if he
Okay,
charges
so-
me, I'm gonna try to startle him. Remember, I have a sword that can explode into thunderous sound. Like,
Let's go.
Alright. You guys slowly back away. And after a good distance, the bear kind of stands up, shuffles a little distance on 2 feet, looking after you, and then drops heavily down and starts heading into the bushes. And the last you see or hear of the bear is the beast scooping great pawfuls of berry bush branches towards him and just the berries straight off of them.
Game just smiles and finally turns towards the way they're walking and keep going. And that is how you handle a bear. Thank you very much.
A better way to handle it is not to be eating berries in the first place.
Hey, I got both. I got to eat the berries and hang out with the bear. I think I won.
Results do not always dictate how good of an idea it was in the first place, given your immediate information.
And while that's fair, the last bear that I didn't eat berries around bit me on the hand. So, really, I think this was a smarter choice.
The world knows you're stupid, Kane. I don't need to point it out for you.
Aw, I love you too, sister.
Real quick, as they're going,
Yes. Yes.
couldn't Alsana do a commune with nature ritual? If they
Okay.
have a stint of time.
I believe so, because there is going to be a fairly long walk ahead. You'll have time to do a ritual. So, go ahead and give it a click and let me know what you would like to commune with nature on.
Ritual.
Also, this is a fairly long span of time, so are you doing it like more or less immediately after leaving the bear, halfway through the forest,
A
when you get
little
close
bit
to the
after.
tree line?
W-
Okay.
Once they're away from the bear enough, and she kind of look forward and see, like, okay, we have some time.
Okay, okay. Sure. Alright then. So, within 3 miles, other natural underground settings, that's not applicable in this, so 3 miles. Nature is definitely in place. 3 facts of your choice. So, what would you like to know?
Let's start this off. Let's start this off with the obvious. Location of any powerful celestials in the area.
Okay. Allow me to do a quick measurement of approximately where you are. Okay. You are currently too far down the slope of the mountain to ping any celestial presence that you would expect at the top,
All right.
to be very fair, and you would know that if you want to hold off on it.
No, she wanted to give a check just in case he was like
Mhm.
over the horizon, watching us as we go or something.
Okay. Let's see. Within 3 miles, yeah, nothing.
Okay,
You wouldn't pick up on anything right now.
that's fair. People in the area.
Okay.
See if there's any that are this far up.
Peoples. You might pick up on like the very edges of the pasture land that you left behind. Just the fact that people inhabit that they have their identities rooted in that land in a significant way. In the forest itself, 3 mile radius, it's possible that you might pick up on ping of somebody back the direction you came, but off in the forest area. Potentially a local cutting wood, getting water, harvesting the bounty of the woods. Aside from that, you don't pick up on anybody actually seeming to like inhabit this forested blanket of mountain. At least not within 3 miles of your current location.
Okay. And she would like to know about any terrain as it relates to paths going upwards.
Okay. Yeah, you would definitely pick up that you seem to be on what would be the right course, as within that 3-mile radius, you can feel the way the terrain dips, packs, and hardens into not a road, but a fairly apparent footpath that winds slowly back and forth and back and forth several times within that 3-mile sense ahead of you. You can kind of feel where the terrain gets rockier and harder the further up it goes, sparser with trees and plant life. But the structure of the path continues out and fades beyond your awareness.
Okay.
Always heading upwards.
She's got a rough beatdown of the path that would be forward. Alright. Devin's like, well, I don't think our friend is staying a few steps in behind or in front of us watching our progress. At least not currently.
That's a shame.
Not,
This would have been a good place to fight. No
not about,
casualties, nothing.
we're not about to come across any other travelers, at least in the next little bit.
Any bears?
Didn't check.
Really? After all this?
Bears are easy.
I'm more concerned with people than perhaps those who could give us some directions or advice.
Huh, I mean,
And lastly, I
Fair.
checked the actual path itself. It seemed to be on the proper way. It does kind of snake and turn and seems almost intentionally a bit difficult. But
well, think
we're
we'll
on
be
our
able
way
get
to
through
the
today.
rockier area.
Any idea how long it'll take to get up, if you had to guess?
Could also guess that?
You were told that the mountain would take less than a day to traverse.
Mhm.
But probably a bit more than half a day, I believe. I think is what I said. So you already were given a guesstimate. Also of note, the snaking back and forth of the path isn't a thing that makes it harder to traverse because it matches the increasing gradation of the mountain.
Okay.
So that it cuts back and forth across what will eventually become cliffs and ledges that will be very difficult and cumbersome to climb. The path
Okay.
actually makes it easier.
Okay, never mind.
It increases distance in terms of walking on foot versus how as the crow flies, but it makes it possible to walk on foot.
Alright. So, we'll keep going.
All right. You guys continue onward and upward, perhaps encountering just a little bit more wildlife, but mostly of the smaller varieties. Squirrels, the occasional rabbit running across the path, birds in the trees. You might hear noises of something larger off in the distance, but you don't fully encounter another bear on the path. After about roughly 2 hours or so, the sun growing higher in the sky, as the path continues to wind and the cliffs grow steeper around you. You start to come upon the area where the tree line thins out. It starts to go into little pockets of trees here and there. The sky is opening up ahead of you and above you, as there is less of a canopy, less undergrowth, fewer berry bushes. Though it doesn't grow entirely barren by any means. And about then, further up the path, but heading back towards you, you actually see the movement of a humanoid figure walking. It is a heavy walk, almost a stomp, a combination of the descent of his movement, heading down a sloped path. And just perhaps just the way he walks in general. As every footfall just crunches into the ground and jolts his entire body. He doesn't seem like somebody who does a lot of walking under normal circumstances. He's got a very tall carved stick in his hands, used as a walking support, though he doesn't seem to be leaning on it heavily. It's thumping into the ground with every other step.
They're
There's
just
a...
approaching.
there-
Sounds good. Do detect evil and good. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead and click that. There is a small pack on his back, a long coat dusting his heels. He seems, as you approach and are able to make out more of him, what's everybody's passive insight?
10.
11.
10, 11?
Passive insight.
Passive
16.
insight,
Alaris?
11.
Okay. Alsana in
Ooh.
particular,
We
you
have
notice that
wisdom.
he seems... any of you can see a little bit of a frown on his face. Alsana, he seems particularly grumpy and upset about something. Aberration, celestial, elemental, fey fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you, as well as where the creature is located. Is there object? Okay. You don't pick up on any magical consecration or desecration. But as you basically start to draw even with him, he does not register as anything special.
Okay.
But you do pick up on a very small celestial presence just off the path to the right, kind of under some bushes.
She's gonna look over in that direction.
Roll me a quick perception check.
She'll glance herself.
In the meantime, as you look over to the side, he looks up, sees you, and his footsteps kind of thump thump to a halt. Alsana, with your passive insight, you were able to tell that the heaviness of the footfalls was at least in some part that frustration. He's basically stomping his way down the mountainside.
Okay.
Bad for your knees.
Oh yeah, he doesn't seem to care. 26. Okay. So, there's a couple of things going on at once, as he does start to talk with the party just as Alsana is looking under the bush. So bear that in mind before you react to anything. There's going to be two things for you to react to at once. Underneath the bush, you see a very small shape huddled down close to the ground. It would be easy to miss or mistake as a rock. The coloring is browns and grays and blends in very well to the underbrush. There is a little bit of a mottled texture. Your first thought is that it's a rabbit, but then you see that the texture and the pattern is slightly off along its flanks and back. Almost more reminiscent of some sort of grouse or quail or pheasant backs and wings. And also, you see what at first you might have mistaken, and at a glance you might have mistaken for just branches of the bush above it. You see a pair of very small, thin antlers on the rabbit's head. At the same time, the man comes to a stop and kind of looks over you and barks. Well, you travelers going up the mountain?
Yeah, we are. Definitely.
Can tell you not to waste your time. Especially
Yeah.
if you're looking for any sort of good advice or riches or celestial elemental beings that can dispense such things.
So, seeing you had no such luck there, dear?
It's a scam. Convince people to waste their time, go up a mountain for nothing.
Oh, she's doing it for the
Ah.
cardio.
Scam.
Pretty big exercise.
He gives you a sharp glare and then turns his nose up at you, seeming to elect to ignore you, Kane. Ilaris, what was it you said?
The smartest bitch we've met so
Oh.
far.
It's a scam. Okay.
They spread stories, they tell tall tales, and none of it is true.
What did you go looking for, might I ask?
Advice. I want to know how to grow my fortune. I'm a merchant, but there's so much more that I could do. I just need to know what the best path is.
I don't think climbing mountains is a very fortunate thing to do.
Yeah,
I
no,
went on advice. Advice that I am not going to be heeding ever again.
So you went looking for a celestial for financial advice? I think there's people who do that as a job, dear.
Although
yeah.
you
It's-
did
I'm
learn-
aware, and I plan on sticking with those people
It's-
rather than chasing fairy tales.
It's
Well,
still
then I
worth a
guess-
high aspiration if it's a if it's a profession you're seriously looking towards. I mean, every and all little advantage.
No advantages to be found here.
I mean, you learned not to listen to the dude who told you this advice, so that might end up being fortunate later, possibly saved you from ruin.
And you learn to go to people who, get paid to do it instead of looking for a celestial who may know nothing about money.
Or at the very least,
Really?
people who you trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, Celestials might not have any concept of currency.
Alzana has a glance of like
There
like,
is no celestial.
Like-
Golden Palace, my foot.
Oh, we haven't
Look
even
up.
heard of a palace.
Yeah.
It's also a really
Well-
bad place for a palace. You need good sediment
Yeah.
for that.
Well, at the very least, you won't be disappointed then.
I
Dingy
had-
hut and a loony hermit and wild animals a no-fit place for a man of my status to sleep.
Oh, that's where my uncle went.
Oh.
Don't mind him. I'm at least personally having some research as well. I'm curious about this, so I mean, how far is this a hut you were saying? I'd like to at least know what's going on here and dispel any rumors if for other people like you to wander on up here and
Ha! Near the top of the mountain. Few hours. I've been hiking since dawn on the way down. And up is harder.
Feet
Oh,
must
no shit.
hurt.
If you want to waste your time, so be it. I'd advise against it, though.
are you alright? Do you need any water or anything?
No, I have enough. Thank you.
You have a place to sit. Feet must hurt.
Use your knees. Stop like that's not very good for you.
Yeah, you
Also-
probably got
also
clicky knees
Right,
at this
they're
point.
being patronizing, aren't they?
Yeah.
Don't
they
you
are.
dare!
No,
You dare
no,
to patronize me!
No.
Do you know who I am?
Oh god.
No.
Not particularly. Do you know who I am?
No, and I don't care.
Oh,
You
good.
are nobody.
Ah,
I could make your life a living hell.
Oh.
could
Have
how
you
about
ever
you?
you?
come by Silver Corner?
Let's
Uh-huh.
Good to know.
be on our
We will
way.
keep an eye out.
Let's just keep going up. Let's not give this guy
Yeah.
Also, I'll just look to him and like,
Your loss. He holds up a hand, begins to stalk past. As he begins to pass the bush, the little rabbit starts to hop out to sniff at his feet. And he looks down, jumps, swears, and kicks out at it. And it back into the bush.
oh, come now.
Kicks a
Stupid
rabbit.
creatures of this! God's forsaken space
Alzana
of wilderness! And he starts stalking off.
running over to where the rabbit was.
Calder's
Yeah.
going with her.
Yeah.
Kane is debating the benefits of tripping this dude from a distance.
I'd
Can you
do
shoot
it.
an-
He
can you
seems
shoot
like
like
an
an-
asshole.
Shoot like an arrow underneath his foot so he
Well, no,
Guys.
here's the thing. I have a 50-foot pole with a hook on the end.
Stop right now. Let him go.
Oh, okay, that was out of character.
Yeah.
Kane's just thinking it.
Yep.
Alzana's-
Kane, you envision the scene in your mind, and it is vivid and it is wonderful. But Alsana, Calda, you go to the bush, and you find the small little rabbit, kind of trembling underneath, looks up at you with big, liquid, dark eyes.
It's okay. No worry.
That thing
And as she
is so cute.
Yeah.
says it, healing word. It's okay.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Alright. The healing energy washes over it, and it seems to relax. Its little nose twitches, and it tentatively stretches forward to sniff at your hand.
Alzana puts a hand out and she says, "Friends in Celestial."
The little ears kind of pop up and twitch towards you. There's almost a recognition.
Friends.
Slowly stretches forward, does a little hop, stretches forward again, the back end catches up, and it emerges from the bush.
Kane, it is a jackalope!
Yep.
Not quite. It is a variant. Actually, you know what? Alsana, actually anybody can, roll a nature check.
Sure.
Oh, come on.
4.
Where's nature?
Okay, 15 for 20. Interesting. Okay. Elaris, you have no idea what on this good earth this thing is. Calda, you probably know a little bit about the idea of the equivalent of a jackalope. You know stories.
Never seen you near the Sorenwood, so I have no idea what you are.
Yeah, to be fair, you guys are from more forest and field areas. You might not have traveled much in foothills or mountains or anything of the sort. Alsana, your reading leads you to think that you've come across descriptions of similar things. Something called a skavader, essentially a winged rabbit. But this seems to be a little bit of a variant on that. The descriptions you read didn't mention antlers, or, as it comes further into view, the long, brushy, squirrel-like tail that sort of waves out behind it and then curls over its back. Kane, you've actually heard of these things by word of mouth, and you might have maybe seen one if you'd ever traveled far enough into the Broken Hills that they became rockier or craggier.
Yeah, probably.
Only you know it as a Wolpertinger.
Yeah.
And that is a rabbit with pheasant wings, long brushy squirrel-like tail, and a tiny pair of antlers.
Would the orcish kind of culture be of this is a thing of considered like a good fortune symbol? Or at least
Not
fortunate to see?
necessarily. They are very rare, so there might be a little bit of a, oh, lucky to see it, but in the same way as it's lucky to see a rainbow after rain. There is actually, between you and Alsana, there is actually no knowledge of these as beings of any celestial nature. You would know them more as just
Weird creatures.
relatively ordinary, but somewhat weird
In
creatures.
the owl bear column.
Yeah, kind of more in that
Yeah.
monstrosity area.
Kane just looks at it and, never seen one of those so close.
Oh, you're a pretty little bit of everything, aren't you?
It's so cute.
It's like the cutest version of a taxidermic mistake.
Less cute now.
You'd make Morticia cry with that.
Yeah.
Alsana is just going to put a hand lightly out to just kind of attempt to pet.
Kane will reach in the bag of holding and pull out a quick ration.
Yep, and
And
she'll
just unwrap it, leave it on the ground.
say friends again in Celestial.
You reach out the hand, and it actually kind of leans up into it. It seems not unaccustomed to humanoids and their touch.
Mhm.
It almost seems like it might be tame.
She'll ask in Celestial, just, are you from somewhere?
The ears perk up and twitch towards you again. It's regarding you with attention, but it doesn't show any indication of being able to answer.
Are you far from home?
The head kind of tilts to the side, and the ears follow you.
We're heading
Kind
up.
of.
Would you like to come with us?
Sits back. You see the head tilt further and further back, and then the little hind foot comes up and at the ear, shakes it off, and sits back up, and then takes a couple of hops towards your feet.
She'll put two hands down in a cup, see if it wants to.
It does a little hop. It fills both hands. It's somewhat large for a rabbit, though not as large as a hare.
And she'll just slowly, carefully put it in the arms and be melting.
Okay.
I'll hand Calda the little rations. Like, hey, go feed it.
Well, like just holds up. Just a little ration, making sure it's not meat, just in case.
Oh yeah, yeah, not jerky. It's just dried, probably.
It's a
Triscuits.
biscuit. Yeah, you got
Yeah.
a biscuit. You see the little nose and whiskers twitch, and then it reaches out and little teeth through it.
Oh, it's so cute.
And this is somewhat. somewhat she can she tell just with a glance with any like is there any like notes of any of the parts of animals there that would denote a certain male female? Because she wants to partially assume with the antlers, but who knows, caribou.
Yeah, you're familiar with the non-antlered version. There's the usual method.
Yeah, no, she's not gonna.
Okay. But aside from that, no, you don't know of any very particular markings between the rabbit or the pheasant portions.
Ariel, how did you pronounce that name again?
Which one? The Wolpertinger?
Yeah. Was it an F or a P? Sorry.
Hold on. I'll type it in here for you.
Your
Thank you.
blessing.
And the other name is a Skavader.
Which one was one that came new?
Wolpertinger.
Okay. Candace looking says, ah, little whoopee. How you
What
doing?
now?
Wilpertinger is what the orcs called them.
That's a very
Does it
interesting
react
name.
at all on that name?
Not really.
Just little things that hang around the mountains. Or large hills, I suppose.
Are
Is it like a-
they? What's the lore you know around them?
Nothing. I've never hunted one. They're too small and hard to find. It's not worth the energy.
Hold on.
Just creatures.
And she'll give a look. Are you a familiar?
There's a little wiggle of the whiskers.
Oh, and she's between the antlers. That
Suppose that
explains
makes
it.
No. In that case, if you're communicating with your wizard, I suppose, or your charge, I hope he knows that we're friendly.
We'd like to come say hello if you can refer that to him at any point.
And if not, we'd appreciate being told that we're not welcome. But regardless, we have
The
mountain climb.
Skavader kind of sniffs towards fingers again.
Alright. I'll just
Oh.
between the chin.
Nothing else on it. Something happens where I need to be in combat. My breastplate has room for something if I need to. Here, it's good to hide small things that have not very much health.
I don't think the antlers are going to help that.
I can deal with antlers. It's fine. Little pokes.
I'm more concerned about him, honestly.
No, I'll keep him safe.
I can be on a broom. I can be in multiple places that people see me. It's okay.
Just don't drop him. I'd feel really bad.
You're telling me. Let's be off.
Yeah.
And she'll look down. Do you have any other friends around here, or is it just you?
Just kind of blinks once up at you.
Once for
Yeah,
yes,
it
twice
does.
for no?
A single blink.
Yeah. Would just be a blinking familiar. Yeah, it is what we'll
Two
call you.
blinks.
Oh. I'm still gonna call you Blinky. Hope it's okay.
No, he is wonderful and adorable, and she says multiple different like wonderful, adorable ball of fluff things in Celestial.
If it's like a pet or something, maybe like if you use the familiar, like the what are you speaking? Celestial? You use like the name Fluffy? Maybe its name's just Fluffy?
Maybe his name is Brad.
We'll just ask when we get there.
Either way, we got a long climb ahead, so I hope it's comfortable. Yeah,
All right.
Let's go.
So, Skvader and Arm, you guys head on up and
Ken's
begin
using
to
the-
climb your way out past the tree line.
As a note, Ken's using the 10-foot pole as a walking stick.
Okay.
Asana is just going to be running like fingers across and just giving this thing so many pets, but also making sure there's no mats in the fur or any broken feathers or anything.
Okay.
Calder always reaches up for scritches every so often.
I will say that if you've got the bunny cradled in one arm and using the other hand for pets, you're probably going on foot because typically you're gonna do best with guiding the broom with at least one hand.
That's fair. She
Typically.
might hop up and down occasionally.
Yeah, just for long stretches of time,
Mhm.
it might get a little drifty.
Yep.
Um,
Or Calder could pilot.
Or I could hold the squatter.
Also, like look sad. It's like for a little bit.
Yay!
You gonna hog someone else's familiar all to yourself? How cruel.
I have my own familiar. I think he's enjoying himself, right, Mari?
looks down at the Squatter. Squatter looks up at him. Mori doesn't seem as perturbed by this because it's not owl-shaped.
I look to Mori and like, I'll clean your feathers if you'd like to.
Mori, go cuddle
Mori-
on someone's neck.
Mori flies over to Kane and
He makes a little perch on his hand.
offers his feathers.
And Kane will just basically straighten out the feathers, make sure they're all in good position and in good health while he walks.
All right.
Alsan, it's a shame that you've gotten your legs so weak from being on the broom so much. You could pet cute animals while you walk. It's must be so rough for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even walking. I'm just on the room.
Oh, I know you're strong. I'm not going to doubt your leg strength.
Oh, thank you. No, Alsana, maybe one day I could summon like a really big dog again, like Morty, and then you could pet that. You could pet him.
I mean, I won't say no, but is there any particular reason you bring that up?
Because I can summon one that's not Mori or Morty, and I can get a third one.
Oh,
Because they're summon Greater Steed.
Oh, Jesus.
summon larger woofer. It's like, you have quite the repertoire in your back pocket, don't you?
I usually just use it for pets, honestly.
That's fair.
Like, Morty's been at home the entire time. I could have used him to ride him into battle. Nah, he's too cute.
Kane non-magically pets the owl. I know one spell.
It's called Pet.
He's called Bag of Tricks. We do? Wait,
Then
what?
we run out of,
You-
then we
you
run
got-
out of stuff in the back tracks.
Only per day.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
It's a
what
per
bag?
day. The bag of tricks you got at the Giant's Castle.
Yeah, we've had that for a while.
You
Oh,
can
I
summon
forgot
a
we had
creature.
that.
You can summon 3 creatures. Each one's an action per day.
Yeah,
I
I
just
I
thought
forget
that.
about it.
I didn't realize it was per day.
I just
Yeah.
thought it runs out.
It runs out in a day, but it renews.
Kane goes like, hey, Morty, hold on. Fly back to Calder for a second.
That one's Mario, but okay. Just puts further arm out.
Kane reaches in the bag of holding, pulls out the bag of tricks, and just, I wonder. I'll open
But
up the bag.
Alsana had it on her.
I
Did you
believe
just
so.
keep it on?
Alsana's been
Okay.
holding on to it.
I just assume Kane has his bag of holding.
No, she keeps her magic items on her.
I'm just looking, it's like, hey,
Hmm.
can I summon a pet?
I mean, it can be random, and we will be stuck with it the whole time.
It's okay. I can carry most animals.
Right, but there is already supposed to be trials up ahead. Do we maybe want to save it and let until we run into something?
Only if I get to hold the Wilpertinger next.
She like holds the bag out for Kane to grab a ball of puff.
That's it. He smiles and he'll pull it out.
You reach in and you feel just these balls of fluff and stuff. You pull one out. You throw it out onto the ground. Roll me a d8. All right.
Gerbil.
No, it poof, and it forms into a jackal.
Yeah!
Basically, a long-limbed,
No.
skinny-looking dog creature with very dark fur and pointed features.
Kane smiles and like, alright, on my shoulders, bud. I'll give you all the scratching and pets you want.
It's fairly small, canine creature. It kind of makes a ruff noise and bounds over to you, does a little dance around your feet, and
Yep.
kind of hops up, and you can catch him in your arms.
Yep, and I just like drape him around my shoulders and like, alright, I just like scratching his neck and his rear end as we're
You-
climbing.
You've got a jackal for until the next dawn or until it's reduced to 0 HP.
How dare you? This thing will be protected with my life.
Okay. So, as you get past the tree line, the trail continues, and it grows in a way sharper, more hairpin turns. The cliffs below and above each level are far steeper now, more craggy, more rocky. You also begin to see in the vicinity a number of wild mountain goats. climbing along the cliffs and making death-defying leaps from one narrow crevice to another. As you advance up the mountain, taking quite a bit of time and petting various animals, at one point you actually come across an area of the path where it seems that perhaps it sustained some damage recently, or it simply wore away over time. But the path actually narrows into a shelf of rock, about a foot and a half wide at certain parts. It's going to be a little bit careful going to place your feet right at this point. Your other option would potentially be to try to scale about a 50 or 60 foot cliff to above you to go up to the next part of the path. Or if you can come up with some other way, it would either be the strength for scaling, the dexterity for taking the narrow path, or whatever you can come up with.
Sorry, how far was that gap? Or not the gap, the distance difference?
The distance along the path, the shelf,
Yeah, thank you.
it probably extends for roughly 30 feet or so.
Okay.
Basically, one round of travel, 2 rounds if you go slow. You could dash, but that might have consequences.
And is it like completely vertical or like 30-degree angle type of problematic?
There's 1 or 2 points where it does actually plunge not completely vertical, but fairly close. It might not be 90 degrees, but it could be like 70, 75. There are other points where the slope is a bit more gradual, or there's a bit of a shelf underneath.
Okay. Kane will, with the whatever combination of his height and a 50-foot rod is, he will summon, I think, button 4 on the rod. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the right button. Yeah, 4. Into a climbing pole. So a little spike at the bottom and 3 hooks at the top. And if I can, I will anchor it at the top.
Okay, so up the cliff.
Yeah.
Alright, it doesn't quite reach the top. There's still a good, potentially a good, like, 5 to 10 foot gap. So there would have to be, like, a final muscle up at the top. But you do have a climbing pole that's basically a ladder.
Yep, and it can hold 4,000 pounds, so he will climb to the top. And he'll just say, alright, all of you, come on in, come on up, I'll just give you a boost at the last little bit.
Okay.
Anyone who doesn't have a broom that is. Although,
Alright.
if you avoid... Actually, no, I didn't hear the avoid travel thing, never mind. So he'll just wait at the top for anyone who wants to get a hand up that way.
Alsana is going to cast Enhance Ability on herself
Okay.
for Cat's Grace.
Ah, the dexterity one?
Yep.
So are you taking the footpath and not the climbing that
Uh,
Kane is offering?
Is the climbing purely strength?
No, it's just a ladder, and I'm pushing up the last 5 feet.
Well, yes, but
Yeah.
the GM, I feel like, is implying there's going to be a check at
Oh,
the end.
okay. There would still be a little bit of a check because there's a little bit of a gap. However, it would be a check at advantage due to Kane helping.
Okay.
And it would be pretty easy to make. The DC is going to be fairly low
Would it be
for
a
it.
strength check?
I'd argue that's a question you probably wouldn't know the answer of.
In all likelihood, yes, because the distance is such that it's going to be mostly like actually leveraging yourself up that final gap. Think climbing out of a swimming pool,
Yeah,
but without
exactly.
a ladder at the very end there.
Also, Conrad, I feel like you can glance at a thing and know how much upper body strength you probably will need to use.
I know, just general statement.
Calder's gonna climb up next and stay up that last 5 feet to do the hoisting to help Kane a little bit. Just to lower the DC a little bit, if it would.
Okay.
We both looked at Alaris at the same time, I imagine.
Maybe, you know what? Alsana is going to cast Cat's Grace instead on Alaris.
Okay,
And-
Alaris.
Well,
I believe
she'll
you.
ask him first. Just basically, would you want to try the other way? I know you're a bit lighter on your feet, and I can help that even further.
Yeah, he was gonna turn the fell steel crossbow into a basically like an ice pick, try to basically give himself leverage to climb up.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Basically like a
basically,
climbing pick.
it's basically dexterity one way, strength another. With various advantages you could give yourselves potentially.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
which path would you like? Which version of the path would you like to take?
Probably dexterity.
Okay.
Then yeah, Alsana will slap a cat's grace on him.
Okay.
Nice.
So while Calda climbs up the ladder that Kane gave and goes up to the top, Calda, go ahead and roll me an advantage strength check, please. Make it athletics. Make it athletics for that.
Meanwhile, Alsana boops Alaris's nose and his eyes go like cat eyes.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yep. Calda, no problem. You are boosted up. The height difference is even greater for you by proportion. However, you catch the edge with your fingers, and you very easily just hoist yourself up and onto the next level of the path. Alaris, in the meantime, you feel very dexterous. You've got a 30-foot long, about 1.5 foot wide shelf of footpath. With a cliff on one side and a drop on the other. So, you would make a dexterity, I would say acrobatics check if you have proficiency in that, to traverse this section. Cat's Grace
do not,
gives
actually.
advantage, right?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yep.
Yep, Cat's Grace
Okay.
advantage on dexterity checks.
Also, alright, go ahead and roll an advantage dexterity check.
Ooh.
Okay.
4 and a 10.
That's alright. You actually make it across fine. At one point, your
Nice.
foot does kind of fall
Ew.
just a little closer
Yeah.
to the edge than you really wanted,
Like,
and you can feel
yeah.
like a pebble underneath and hear it drop
Yeah.
down. But you go with a little bit more care after that,
Where
and
the ice pick helps.
Yep.
you dig the ice pick into the side wall and hold on. But the rest of it doesn't give way under your foot, and you finish the section, and you're on the wider bit of path right before the hairpin turnaround to the upper portion.
Cool.
And Alsana, knowing the spirit of this thing, is going to hop on her broom, float up to the top of the cliff, put the spotter down, and then float back down.
Okay. And are you going to go ahead and take the shelf then?
She's going to. Some construction.
As she's deliberating, Kane just looks down. It's like, I could literally toss you up this last 5 feet and being serious.
Fine.
I'm right here too, dear.
Call it up.
You know,
I can also just climb
that's-
down and help you up.
I have more confidence with that.
There we go. Come on.
Alright, so she's gonna try to go be caught by Calda.
Okay.
Or Kane basically let his hand be one extra rung on the ladder, basically.
Not
Yep.
that even Calder would actually climb back down and go behind Alsana. And climb up again.
Okay.
Kane will
Calder.
again just use his hand as a platform to help her down.
Okay. So, you can get down easily enough. You go down to the bottom and you wait for Alsana to go up ahead. When Alsana gets up to Kane, you're giving a boost upwards?
Yep.
Calda, are you there to catch or to help boost?
Help boost, but if it comes to it, then catch, just
Okay.
in case.
Alright. It's just going to be a little bit tricky with Kane doing boosting. You'd basically have to be piggybacking on Kane and using him as leverage to boost, if I'm
Alright, hold on.
imagining this right.
I was imagining one on each side of the ladder, and both using a hand to help her push her way up.
Oh, okay, so one's on each side of the rung.
Yeah, basically.
Alright. The height difference is still significant enough that Calda's boost is going to end long before Kane's.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
Calder was
Between
gonna
the
boost. Calder was gonna boost from underneath Alsana, go from the back of the legs and sort of boost up from there.
It's kind of what
Yeah.
Kane's doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
it?
imagining Kane is just 1 or 2 rungs down. That's the only difference.
I don't remember.
Kane
Yeah.
Kane is on the ladder and boosting people up from underneath.
Okay, yeah, then Calder would probably.
Would you
Hop
like
up.
to stay at the top of the cliff and boost from the top?
Yes, because I thought Kane
Right.
was at the top.
No.
I see.
Oh.
That's where. Yep, that makes
Yeah.
sense now.
Before
Okay, so
Alsana
you
gets to the
didn't
top,
climb
Calder,
down. You just stayed there.
Mhm.
Yes.
Before Alsana gets to the top, Kane hands the the jackal up to Calder.
Oh yeah, the jackal now. Jesus Christ, guys.
You set the jackal down, and it goes and starts to sniff over the squatter, and the squatter reaches a little nose up and sniffs back. But in the meantime, I'm gonna say, Alsana, you can. You're basically getting 2 help actions. There's gonna be a little bit of strength just for grip. Go ahead and roll your athletics at double advantage.
All right, and if Alaris has been like has gotten to the top by then,
Mhm.
which I assume after this oh no you up, no you down, little back and forth.
He's kind of got a good 30, 45 feet, but he's rounding the corner and coming around. So yeah.
All right, yeah, she'll switch to guidance then.
Mhm.
And let's see, so double advantage athletics.
That's impressive.
15.
Okay. All right. You get a boost from below, you grab onto Calda's hand above, and you're pulled up, and your grip is strong and true. You all manage to get up there. Kane, I believe, just 1 athletics from you, just for that final muscle up and to grab hold of the ladder rod, unless you want to take the dex path.
Oh no, he'll basically, as soon as he gets one hand on the up part of the ledge, he'll just undo the top spike. It turns back into the rock, puts it back in his belt, and keeps going.
Okay, go ahead and do your climb.
Yep. Is that
Just
I assume that's
athletics.
I assume it's advantage because Calder.
Probably. Calder, are you helping?
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, advantage.
We can get a rope at some point.
It's not
I
necessary.
think I have a rope. I'm
I think my
trying to get
passive. I think my passive athletics is enough. Yeah.
Yeah. 25. You're good.
I do have a rope.
Oh, we all have ropes, but this is way cooler.
All right. So you pull yourself up there, and you're all at the top just about the time that Alaris catches up. Gather up your animals.
Again, well, this time, as long as the jackal is comfortable, let it run up alongside of him.
All right. So you continue further and further up the mountain.
As they're going, let's go look down to the spotter and just by the way, you have wings. Can you actually fly?
There's a little, is the squatter on the ground or in your arms?
Whatever it felt like.
Probably in your arms at the moment, but
Right.
it gives a little wiggle at that and hops down onto the ground. And as it hops down, you see the wings outwards, and it kind of glides a little bit to the ground where it does a little hop running landing.
Okay. So not sustained flight, but you've got yourself some gliding.
So
It kind of hops back around you, goes around the back of your legs, and then starts picking up speed and swoosh off and starts flapping its wings, and actually does manage to get up off the ground from a running start, glide for a bit, flap, 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 glide a little bit more, flap, 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 and then land further along the path.
Kane looks at him like, now imagine that with the speed of a quickling.
No.
But it would be so cool.
It's
Imagine how
not-
far they can fly.
That's not how you literally saw how that worked out.
I didn't see anything, actually. I just heard something.
Anyways, Alsana will pick the squatter back up and just oh, that was so good, you're very impressive. Also, I'm taking down so many notes afterwards.
Kane just tossed a piece of jerk at his jackal.
The jackal snaps it up. There's kind of chewing noises following you for a while.
I like to imagine it doesn't choke on it, but it just does that kind of animal just as it scarfs it down.
Yeah, if you've ever seen a dog chewing at a bit of jerky or something that's maybe a little too tough, and it just one side of the mouth and then the other side of the mouth, and it's leaning its head back and forth, and he's trying to keep up, but very preoccupied.
Hold on, I'm checking something, because I think I might actually have the perfect thing in my bag for this.
Oh boy.
I do! Okay, so alright, I'll leave it up to you how decayed this thing is. But I have the corpse of some beast from forever ago.
Yes, you
Can
do.
I try to pull the leg bone out? Because I imagine it's not in good shape.
Yeah, it's in there. To determine the shape, go ahead and roll a d20.
Alright. 15? Is that good or bad?
Yeah. Well, you get the leg bone out. It's still got It still has some bits hanging off of it, but they're not like they're dried.
I'll just give it to the jackal. It's like, it's got flavor. Here you go.
The jackal takes it and happily in his mouth starts trotting along, and then looks a little lost as he realizes you're still walking and he can't lay down and chew on it.
Yep. He'll take it back on the shoulders and just hold the leg for him.
Okay. It's an awkward arrangement, but you finally manage to find a point where you can hold the leg steady enough and the jackal steady enough, and the jackal can have his front paws wrapped around the bone and onto the top.
Kid's smiling. He's happy. No one can see it. It's fine.
All right. So, after a while, the path actually kind of curves around the side of the mountain a little bit. Instead of the straight zigzag back and forth, it goes off to off at a little bit of an angle. You're more on the north face of the island. Not island, mountain now. And as you are heading up, you come across a point where the path starts to grow somewhat damp, and you can hear a bit of a roar ahead. And as you approach, you see the source of this steady sound, a plunging waterfall dropping off the edge of a cliff and down below you, cutting through the path, and the continuation is a rope bridge crossing just ahead of this fall. You can
Alsan
see
looks at
that
the bridge and just to the heavens. Huh, cheeky.
You can see that the planks are very dark with water, but the bridge itself at a glance seems sturdy. It looks very well secured. It doesn't look like it's in danger of snapping. At worst, if anybody suffers from vertigo, they might not be very pleased.
I feel like over the
Kane's
course of
still
this
out of-
adventure, Alsan has gotten over her vertigo.
Did she ever suffer from it in the first place?
Kane, out of posterity's sake, will at least take off the heaviest pieces of his armor and put them in the bag.
Okay.
And kind of just looks at the jackal and like, think it'd be okay to walk across there without me carrying you, bud, or would you rather me carry you?
And kind of squirms and wiggles down, still carrying the bone in his mouth.
It's like, well, if you want to go first, I mean, you're probably the lightest.
And the jackal does a little paw test on the bridge. Click, click, tick, tick, and steps out fully onto it. The bridge does sway ever so slightly under the jackal's motion, but with the paws and claws splayed, the jackal walks across it step by step, very carefully. Gets up to the other side, and then looks back at you and wags its tail.
Oh, good boy. And I kind of look over to Calda. Want me to put the breastplate of yours in the bag? Just keep the arms and legs on for now, or?
I could. That could work.
Just in case.
Yeah.
I mean, probably without that, you're probably the lightest one here after the jackal. So.
How much is Alsan away?
Not too much.
I mean, you're dense, but he comes compares the two heights. Like, I think you might still be lighter.
I have the number. It's the number of like a skinny person. Call this chubby.
I think by definition she's thick at this point.
Wow.
If not just buff.
Yeah.
She's ripped to shit.
Yeah, and Calda's gonna like put Mori on her head so like she can look through his eyes and just be a little bit taller, just in case any vertigo sort of kicks in.
I'd probably call it like beefy.
That's a good word for it.
Calda's like 5'9", pure muscle, 95 pounds of pure muscle. And Calda's just gonna.
She's got that
nod
like
her
strong
head.
man physique.
Oh, gross. Sure, why not?
Well, no, just the like not like she's not like freaking like JoJo jacked.
I mean, I
But-
hate to inform you, I'm just imagining Bilbo Baggins with muscles.
I'm just imagining a very condensed like deadlift Olympian, just beefy. Just beefy, that's all.
Bilbo Baggins with muscles.
I've never seen those things.
Hold on.
That's okay.
Bilbo Heavy
Like, Cole's
Baggins.
just gonna walk. Cole's just gonna walk across.
Okay. The planks are wet and just a tiny bit slick.
Mhm.
Just for the sake of footing, go ahead and give me a quick dexterity check.
Oh gee, how? Okay, before I roll this dexterity check, how far is it across?
It's probably a good, It's probably not dissimilar to the shelf that was walked
30
across.
feet.
Somewhere around there, give or
Okay.
take a little bit.
If it's that much, all sounds good. Just tip a quick guidance.
Let's go, let's go, motherfuckers! Oh
Okay.
fuck!
Alright,
Yeah, she's
16.
Oh my god!
You make it across. You can feel that there's a little bit of slickness underneath your boots, but you walk across steadily enough. You reach the other side, pat the jackal on the head, and wait for the others.
It's Slippy. Watch out!
Alright. Caldo, you're probably next lightest. Not Caldo, Alsana.
Yeah. Are you sure you haven't been drinking, Kane?
Again, those berries might have been a bit fermented more than I expected, but it's not too bad.
Alright.
It's a buzz at most.
Just give a glance like, so
Just keep your broom on hand in case it goes wrong.
it's out of the spirit of it though.
Alright, well, good luck in that case. Suppose if it goes wrong, just turn to a bird.
So it's just a bit damp, yeah?
Yeah, just a bit. It's not icy or anything, despite the elevation and the altitude. It's damp, and maybe a little bit of moss happens to have grown on the in the cracks.
Okay.
But honestly, you've probably dealt with worse, just running around in the forest all those years.
Okay. Yep. She'll just give a guidance to herself then. Take a step.
Okay.
So dexterity check? Or
Yep.
acrobatics?
Just dexterity. Okay, throw the guidance on.
12.
Yep. At one point, you can feel a little bit of like a heel start to turn just a little bit, but that's just one step, and your foot doesn't go out underneath you. You make it across just fine. So, who is next?
Look at Alaris. I should be last. If anything breaks under my way, it'll be kind of hard for the rest of you to go past.
Out of curiosity, what is the squatter's fly speed?
I don't have anything written.
Is it
I'm going to say that it might be about 15 feet.
okay? Basically, Alsana wants to like gesture to it, see if it could just fly the gap.
Okay. The squatter actually just kind of boop, 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 across without any trouble.
I guess you don't shake things too much, do you?
Just kind of shakes his head. So, Elaris, are you crossing the bridge?
I suppose so.
Alright. Go ahead and give me a dexterity check. Alsana is
Right.
not there to give you guidance, so it is just a straight check, please.
Cool. 11.
Alright. Like Alsana before you, you feel your foot kind of skid just a little bit at a point, but you grab onto the rope on either side and hold on. And then step by step, you make it across the bridge. Kane, you are last.
How long was that gap again?
About 30 feet, give or take a bit.
He'll kind of lay down that climbing pole and just by the side of the bridge,
Okay.
tie his silk rope to it, tie the other part to his belt, just in case. Until it makes way across.
Alright. Give me a
Lots of slack.
dexterity.
He's not trying to make it easy, just so he doesn't die if he falls.
Okay, give me a dexterity check.
Alright, check that save. There we go. Yeah.
All right, more easily than anybody else, actually. You just walk across, boots sure and steady.
Because I think I have the highest dexterity score, so. Solaris is 16 as well.
Okay, you gather up your things on the other side, and you continue onwards.
Kane will hand Calder back the breastplate and put it back on too.
Thank you very much.
And he will give the jackal a very good, like, scratching and rubbing. Good boy.
All right. A further hour up the mountain, you do cross a point of almost a river, a bit more than a stream, a few more times, though you don't have to deal with quite the same threat of a sudden plunge at any other point. And at one of the turns, I'm gonna go ahead and have another group perception check.
Can I use Maury's, or does it have to be individual ones?
Let's call it individual ones, but you can add Mori to the pot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some very good perceptions.
Yeah.
And there's a little Mori.
Thank you,
Alright.
Calder. You did great.
Calda, you just happen to have your head down because it's your turn to carry the Skvader.
Fluffy little boy, or girl, or squatter.
That's just
And
good.
the rest of you, you hear the splashing and dancing of water up ahead as you come around another curve, up another level, and approach once again that falling, tumbling river. This time, however, you also hear other sounds around it. You hear little peeps and chirps, little squeak noises. And as you approach, you notice, long before they would notice you, a pair of griffins laying beside that stream, just a little distance off the path. And they're watching 3 hatchlings playing on the banks.
I'm just kind of. It's like, well, are we in a rush, or are we going to see if we can let them just fly off?
I'm okay to sit here for a bit. Honestly, I could do another communing.
Yeah, we could rest our legs a little bit.
We'll see if they fly off on their own.
We'll just sit down for a bit.
Okay.
Kane will continue just carefully scratching behind the ears. I assume they're jackals in, like, relatively good health and clean fur, because they're just born.
Literally just summoned. It
Yes,
is
they
a
should.
very nice jackal.
Yeah, so he's just petting it and letting it fall asleep in his lap if it takes long enough.
Okay. So you sit down for a while.
How long do we get?
I'm going to say that on that, it's about, it's a little over half an hour.
Alright, yep, Alsana will do 11 minutes commune with nature.
Okay. Let's see, at this point, how far are you from the peak? Probably not too much further. Okay. It might be just a little bit over 3-mile range to the peak itself. However, you have the bulk of the upper portion of the mountain under your knowledge. So, what would you like to ask?
First with Celestials.
All right. Is it only powerful celestials?
If she could do...
powerful.
Yeah, it specifies
Yeah.
powerful.
Okay. I'll say for flavor's sake, and because you already know anyway, you do pick up a little bit of the Skvader. It doesn't ring in that powerful way, but there's a little bit of an acknowledgement.
When you know what to look for, there's a little resonance.
Yep. It's actually a little bit of a stronger resonance than Mori gives off. Actually. So, further up, I'll say that there's a moment during your commune, right on the edge of your 3-mile distance near the peak, you feel the briefest echo of something, the edge of something. It's not as clear as a blip on a radar. It's more like the wake of a ship washing across it. You're not seeing the thing itself, you're feeling its influence. But there's something up there. Something celestial.
We're getting close. Alright, next one is buildings.
Okay. Alright. You actually do pick up on something of a building. Again, near that very edge of your awareness. Let's see. It's there. It's small. It's not much of a footprint. But it's definitely a building. It was something constructed. Though it doesn't feel as solid, I suppose, as if it was built out of stone or brick. Something about it almost feels temporary.
Okay, and she's got the general direction of that?
Near the edge of your 3-mile awareness, and up near the peak, not too far from where you felt the passing wake of power.
Interesting. Yeah, you'll just check in on the terrain, see what's in between them and that location.
Alright. You can feel the stream, the river. You can feel how it kind of falls and winds upwards from your perspective, downwards from its. From, again, about where you feel the building, there's another waterfall. But there's also the impression of flatness of a plateau there. And you think that the path is going to wind and bring you to that point. At this point, you're not sensing any great trials or issues or anything with the terrain. Just time that would need to be taken to complete this journey.
So yeah, look down at Swatter and just like, you're pretty far from home, aren't you?
It looks up and twitches its ears at you.
We'll have to ask once we get there what got you to stray so far. You didn't have like an argument with your summoner, did you?
There's a couple of blinks up at you.
Couple as in do.
Yeah, 2
Okay.
blinks.
This looks. Sounds like. Okay, just making sure. Have you met the big thing at the top? The Kieran.
It just stares steadily at you. No blinks.
It's part of the mystery, isn't it? Were you summoned by it?
Just stares steadily again. Then, after a moment, turns around and starts grooming the fur and feathers at its back, even though you've made it lay perfectly flush and straight.
Are you a nice little camera that was following the previous tenant?
Stops grooming, kind of does that shake of the head to clear its ears. And then hunkers down and settles against your leg to wait.
You'd tell me you'd tell me beforehand if I was about to embarrass myself and treat an old man in a hut with the same reverence I would a mighty celestial, wouldn't you?
He kind of rests his nose on your knee.
You're a little rascal, aren't you? Just between the antlers.
There's 1 blink.
That's what I thought. And look over to Calda and like, funny thing about this little guy, he's certainly a celestial, probably summoned.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a bit more oomph to him then your friend there. Gestures
say-
the owl.
Don't say that when Maury's in earshot. He gets jealous.
Not in the way that it's more powerful. It's just more celestial.
Well, if it was either summoned or brought here by an actual celestial, I'd see why it has a bit more of that sort of power.
That's what I'm wondering. Because I was considering there perhaps being an old man who was a bit of a monk for the Kirin or something, and that was the one that brought it.
Or maybe he's just such a good boy that the Celestials are giving that much.
The good boy may be blessed.
Were you given a
Yeah.
great blessing for being so adorable? She looks down at it.
Looks up at you, cocks its head.
I think it did. Don't
If
listen
not-
to him, Maury.
If not, it's worthy at least. Same with you, Mori, but, you know. I think your blessing is being with Calda.
Blue.
Actually, Morty, are you excited at all to be meeting a mighty celestial? You're a spirit of that in yourself, aren't you?
He's a what?
Maury's a summoned celestial.
A spirit of one, kind of placed in the form.
I look at the jackal. Are you a Celestial?
The jackal is just continuing to chew on the leg bone of whatever creature you had killed previously.
He smiles. Nah, you're a good boy. You scratch between the ears.
More of a celestial than Maury, dear.
Oh, sorry, I spoiled for a second. Are the griffins still there?
At this point, it's been about 15 minutes. They'd still be there, but with patience and with time.
Sorry, did Mori respond to Alsa's question? Is he excited to be meeting a big old celestial?
Roll,
Mori has telepathy, right?
only with Calda.
Yeah, with Calda.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Find
Do it-
familiar,
do-
you have a telepathic connection.
Yeah, the only thing Thorn can do extra is that he can do it with anyone.
Yeah,
All I
because
know,
talk
I
with
do
anyone.
for dragon.
All I know is that I just have a very nice owl with me.
We'll say that Mori is more the quiet type.
Hmm.
And so, Calda, what you get from Mori isn't so much words as the distinct impression of something of a non-committal shrug and contentment.
Maury doesn't really have opinions.
Uh-huh.
Mori is happy just to have Calda.
Oh. I give him little old feather squitches.
I promise it will be exciting.
My
There's
good
another-
little boy.
He blinks one eye at a time.
But it's no Calda. You're right.
Mori turns
knows?
around and starts preening Calda's hair.
Thank you, Maury.
Look at Lars, like, hey, Lars, do you want a pet?
Sorry?
Do you want a pet?
Okay, and we have to walk back down with these as well,
Yeah.
eventually.
I just mean like as a general statement, but you know. Because I was planning to adopt a dog at some point. Just, you know, this whole thing happened first.
Here's the thing, if I may, Alaris.
Yeah.
I would think sooner than anything, your son's gonna be asking for something.
Probably.
And if not, I would think a adorable little puppy in a box for a birthday or something. That would get you in best dad graces.
I mean, of
Can we-
course, but
Can kind of lift the front paws of the jackal, like look at his cute little eyes, as it's like halfway through like the leg bone of like a deer.
The head's like still flopped to the one side, like chewing on the bone, and looking right at
Yeah.
Lars.
It's cute in a certain sort of way.
Hmm.
Your mileage may vary.
that it depends whether you know the like the Ant-Man scene. It's like he's ugly. I love it. Having Gage be that kind of kid. It depends. I'd have to show the dog to Aurora first.
Right, the almighty mediator.
Of
I mean,
course.
to be fair, she'd have to live with the dog too.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just saying if you wanted to get
No major decisions get made without her counsel.
if you're
Aren't we
considering
in
a
the
With all
pet,
due
middle of
respect.
be for you.
We're in the middle of an assassination plot.
We have been.
You have a very supportive wife. I'm both impressed and mildly jealous.
She's my other half. Of course she is.
She must be all the angry half. Because you're pretty mild mannered.
Oh, Aurora's wonderful. Don't you do that to her.
Yeah.
Well, one of them has to be the angry parent, right?
We've seen Alaris get angry.
Kane, you.
What?
We both know our understanding of proper family dynamics are skewed.
Skewed.
You know
I
what? In retrospect, you might be right.
There are no angry parents in my household. Or
Didn't you
this-
say and make a deal with some kind of powerful body in exchange for the power to bring back your missing daughter?
That's not angry.
That's
passion.
righteousness. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever heard of righteous anger?
It's justice.
That's justice. And also, I gave my family a dog.
It's compassion,
okay?
Kane.
It can be compassion as well as anger. You can be compassionately angry.
I was just upset. I don't think it's anger.
Yeah. We're gonna get Gage a dog eventually. We're just deciding on
But
yet.
please continue
Besides-
to tell Calda how she feels. Just pats Kane on the
I'm
shoulder.
I'm just talking definitions here. If any of the two were to be the angry, it's not Corrin.
Nah.
Again,
Comparatively,
I feel like you're defaulting to one being required. When that's
she
not.
cuts giants in half.
You've been around me more than
And she does it
Forrest.
with a smile.
That's terrifying. That's why.
I feel like this is very much your own perspective.
You've never been
I've heard-
around.
Are you
Forrest.
projecting?
You
I feel like you're
don't know what he
projecting.
does.
I'm not sure what you mean by projecting, but I'm projecting my voice if that helps.
On that note, you guys do notice that the griffins have noticed you.
Ken waves.
They're just kind of watching.
Pleasure.
Ken will just kind of like cup with his hands, like, "Hey, if you can understand us, we don't mean any harm. We're just trying to get past you."
I'm very sure they don't.
With a shot.
Unless they're also summoned familiars, which I didn't count them as celestials when I gave a look around, so...
Could be something else.
Actually, hold on,
Some-
and she's just gonna do a tech good and evil.
The only celestials are the ones that you would expect, not the griffins.
The good boys.
One of them
Okay.
does stand up and kind of, it doesn't approach you fully, but it does take a couple of steps in your direction and leans ahead forward and kind of does the bird head turn.
Kane remains seating, doesn't get up or make any sudden moves or anything.
And after a while, it kind of settles back, turns around, goes back to its mate and the little chicks. And after a
Okay.
couple of minutes, they pick up the little babies. Each
Can
one on the
Alsana-
back, another in the mouth.
Also, just
Mhm.
giving a glance at them. Are they all in good health?
You can roll a quick nature check.
Alright. Ah. 16.
Their feathers seem to be in good color. Their fur it doesn't seem to be matted or patchy.
Okay.
You don't see any ribs. They seem okay.
None of them are limping or anything.
No.
Okay.
As I'm watching,
Okay.
Kane just kind of looks over to Osana. It's like, those things able to be tamed? Not these ones specifically, of course, but theoretically.
I mean, depends on by what means you mean.
I don't know, whatever means it work. I mean,
Actually, Kane, go ahead and roll a quick nature check.
alright, cool.
Just curiosity.
No chance I can make an animal handling because it's about domestication?
Nope, because it's about the nature of the creatures.
Worth a shot.
It's a curiosity. You've never heard of them being domesticated, but tamed might be a different story. You don't know.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know, just that thing in the marsh would be an absolute beast. It'd be able to keep out of the water if it needs to, no worries of crocodiles, be able to find as much fish as it wants. Hell, it'd be pretty safe in there too, compared to most places. And also, you know, it's just cool to have as a pet, you know?
Invasive species and the like.
True.
Alfana, you can roll a second nature check to answer the question if you'd like to.
Alright. If she's thinking on it, she'll answer herself as well.
Okay. 27. Alright. You've heard stories of people taming griffins. However, you know that it's really only considered possible if you happen to get it and raise it from the egg. You also know that even then it is a highly risky proposition. It's dangerous. They are not easily tamed, and even when tamed and trained, they're not very easily contained against their nature. Um, it's far easier actually to get something called a hippogriff than a full griffin. That being said, you would expect them to be a lot more hostile and territorial, especially with chicks around, than these two are being right now, as they are simply picking up their chicks and seem to have decided to go ahead and fly away for a little bit.
Hmm. She looks over. Those ones are very mild-mannered, oddly enough.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we have some sort of symbol of being a decent person with us. And he looks over to the little celestial. I mean, I've read enough storybooks to guess that might just be the Kieran McCary.
Cal looks down at it and goes, "You know what?
Don't tell me you didn't consider that. Seriously?
I did, but I was... No, it couldn't be. I felt an influence further up there.
Well, there could just be two of them. The Kierans are solitary creatures. Maybe this isn't the familiar. Maybe the familiar's up at the top there.
I think that's a bit backwards. But,
Celestials. What do you know about Celestials?
more than you.
Yeah, but
I
you've
have-
read enough storybooks. You know that's very possible.
I know the celestial language, Kane.
Yeah, you know the angels, but you know about the Kierans.
Yes.
Oh, I like to believe my stories, whether you like it or not.
Just rolls her eyes.
Either way, path is clear. Griffins don't seem to come back or anything, do they?
Oh, right, for the question. They are very temperamental. I think these ones are a special case up here, so...
Yeah, it's a shame.
If you were to get it from an egg, it would be your best chance, but it wouldn't be easy by any means.
That'd be cool though.
Yeah. Also that. There's plenty of types, and I'm sure if there was one specialized in such a thing and allowed it to be more in line with its nature, it'd be easier. But honestly, you'd be looking more towards hippogriffs than anything.
Don't quite know the difference, but I'm sure
It's,
if you guys do, you'll find out.
it's kind of the difference between a horse and a moose.
I've always wanted to meet a moose. I'm gonna be honest.
If you can't take Calder, you can't take a moose.
I'm gonna be honest. I may not be able to take Calder, but I feel like that's mostly emotionally. I feel like we'd at least have a fair fight. Let's be honest here. Regardless,
If you ever run into a
Kane does
moose,
have a point.
if you ever run into a moose, treat it with the same level of respect and understanding of its physical strength as you would Calder.
that's what.
That's
Have you
fair.
ever seen me disrespect an animal? Like genuinely, other than that one shark. We're not gonna count the shark.
Have you seen him disrespect me? No.
By the way, if we see hippogriff, let me know. If not, I think I'll just try to become really good buddies with a griffin, so if it wants to come visit me, it can.
Hello?
Oh,
Sorry.
hello.
Sorry, I had to mute for a quick. Also, John, watch your
That's-
keyboard.
Alright, your way is clear. And you're able to travel for another good distance. At this point, this is the only path, and it has been for quite some time. The sun has passed its highest point in the sky by now, though it's not yet mid-afternoon. When you finally come upon a shelf near the mountain's upper peak, it's colder here. It's, the shelf itself is lined with just the very edges of some fallen snow and frost. Nothing very recent, but something that stayed from a past fall. At the back of this plateau, this shelf of stone and scrub, beside another roaring waterfall that plunges down from the peak into a pool, you see a small, crude hut built of wooden slabs and tree branches, probably hauled a good distance up the mountain, as well as various stones of various sizes kind of stacked up on each other. It doesn't look like the most structurally sound building you've ever seen, but it's at least recognizable for its function. Just within the pool, beneath the waterfall, you see a flat rock. And sitting on that rock, cross-legged, with his eyes closed and water streaming over his face, is a skinny, white-haired elder man. He opens his eyes, looks out across at you, opens his mouth, and you hear boom as he stumbles out of the waterfall, still coughing a little bit on some of the water that went up his nose and into his mouth. He holds himself out, leans against the side of the hut, coughs out further, and then looks up with eyes streaming, and just...
Good evening.
I beg your pardon. I wasn't expecting visitors so soon after the last.
Sorry about
It's
that.
nice these days.
Um,
Oh no, just my meditation.
Is this a friend of yours? And Jeep holds up the squatter.
Ah, Clarity. Where have
Clarity,
you
that's
been?
the name.
That's a wonderful name for that
What a
thing.
sweet name.
Come here, girl. Come here.
Also puts,
And,
puts Clarity down.
Clarity was kicking a little bit to be let down, and immediately hits the ground and just scoops across it to leap up into the man's arms.
She's been a dog.
Yeah, he gives her a scratch along the chin. Oh, who's a good girl? Keeping an eye on the path for me. Yes, you were.
Unfortunately, got a nasty kick from the gentleman you probably sent back down.
Oh, yes, well. This is what happens when people don't want to heed good advice. I told him if he wanted riches, he should enrich the lives of others, but no, didn't want to hear that. And he's almost talking more to the Skvatter at this point than you, scritching it along the nose and devolving a little bit into the baby talk.
I patched up a bruise on the side, but just might want to keep a slight eye.
Oh, that is very kind of you. He kind of lets Clarity flop upright in his arms and sets her carefully down. She shakes her off the bit of water that had transferred from him to her fur.
Alsan is going to
Over towards the hut.
drag a hand down the unicorn wand to detect good and evil.
Meantime, Kane just kind of gives a look and is like, we're here about the Kieran? Is that what it was?
All right. Alsana, you feel an enveloping celestial presence, but somehow you aren't able to pinpoint exactly where it is. Even with
Well,
the
the
wand's abilities, even with that spell. It's just... somewhere. Here, but not at the same time. And it's deep. And bright. And the man looks over at you and gives you a nod. Many people have been here about the Kirin, and I'm going to tell you the same that I have told all the others. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a tall tale. I am what resides at the top of this mountain. And I'm no Kirin, but if you will, if a mortal's wisdom will suffice, then I have it to offer.
Alsan tilts her head. And what might you be, pray tell?
Is your name Kane?
Human, an old man, a bit of a hermit. I suppose what I have would have many names. Depending on who you ask and how upset they are with the advice that I give.
Then, might I ask exactly what that overflowing presence is in this area?
I think it's the waterfall.
He gives you a blithe look. Just an empty smile. But you can see his eyes searching yours. After a moment, he glances over at Clarity, where she is sitting prim and proper in front of the hut.
A nice
And then
familiar you've
glances
got
back
there.
at you. Gives a nod. Not many can feel that presence.
Yeah, we're weird.
Still, humor me. What advice do you come seeking? I may still be able to help.
We were directed from the spirit of Deep Thicket, as well as the wood.
Hmm.
More of a... not quite a favor, but a direction. And hopefully, if this is something within your strength, Nalsana will produce the robes.
Ah, dark things. And what is it you wish with these?
To cleanse that darkness. Twist it and make it something to banish any further.
He closes his eyes for a moment, thinking, kind of nodding very slightly, and holds up a finger. You come with high references. I will meditate upon this. Make yourselves comfortable. I should not be long.
It's appreciated. Thank you for all of the hospitality.
Is hearing that story still an option?
I don't suppose you have tea, do you?
I can make some.
I have a few mountain plants that can be boiled into something passable.
If you want me to go gather them for you, I could. No, I don't want to interrupt your meditation.
Can we still give Clarity some scritches?
Yes, Clarity's recommend.
If clarity allows it.
We've gotten it attached.
As for tea, feel free to avail yourself of mountain streams. They are exceptionally pure. With that, he wades across the pool, climbs back onto the rock, the waterfall dropping on top of his head, and sits down and closes his eyes again.
Kane will take his water skin, dip it into the stream, and take a drink.
It is cold in a sharp way, but it's refreshing. It's like drinking air after you've held your breath for so long that you're desperate for it. It's probably the best water you've ever tasted. As much as water can have a taste.
Kate just looks down, it's like, I would almost feel cruel catching a fish out of this thing. These things live in the high life.
Stick with tea for now.
I'm okay with that.
And we still have our rations if we want snacks.
Alright.
Kane will let down the jackal to take a drink too if he so desires.
The jackal doesn't need it, but he takes it. You're able to set up a pot of tea, have a nice brew, sit down and rest, and in about an hour's time, the man under the waterfall gets back up, wades over, and says to you, "You are patient and determined, and I believe that you have proven yourself.
There's Mel.
Come."
You must have been patient waiting for us as well. I'm sure your little friend here told you we were coming.
Not I, actually. I was genuinely surprised when you arrived.
Oh.
He did swallow half a waterfall, to be fair.
Speaking
little
of,
By the way, would you like a cup of tea? It's already boiled.
I suppose I will. That is very cold water. You get used to it, but only in a numbing way. He takes the tea, takes a sip at a time, very slowly. And when the cup is empty, he thanks you, hands it back, and says, "Pack up and follow me. And don't doubt."
I am confident, if nothing else.
We've been through a lot to be doubtful by now.
Indeed.
Very good. In that
Also,
case,
the water's great.
he turns around and wades back into the pool, onto the rock, and past the waterfall.
Oh, it's also
That's
like
Zelda.
taps. Oh,
In the waterfall room.
oh! If you weren't standing over there and you had left us, I would have checked myself. So someone's gonna go after.
I look at the jackal and then decide it's like, you might want to stay right here, buddy. Okay, John, bit of clickety clackety.
Sorry.
So Alsana's in first,
Oh, Calder's going.
Calda second.
Kane will raise his shield above his head and just keep his hair mostly intact.
Kane, with great hair for his hairdo, passes third. Alaris, you bring up the rear. Each of you feel a thundering, cold pressure on the tops of your head, weighing you down for an instant as you pass through the water. And into the other side, there's darkness all around you, only a faint silvery light of the sun streaming through the water at your back. You take a step, a second, and then the third hits empty air, and you fall. One after another, you plunge downward. A distance that you can't guess, it happens so quickly. But then, suddenly, the air itself, the wind, rushes up around you, almost catches you, cradles you, and sets you gently on your feet on a solid surface. There is a little snap and a flicker of light, and you see the old man with a little golden orb floating above his pinched fingers. And said, forgot to tell you to mind the step. You did very well. You did very well indeed. This way. He leads you further into the darkness, down the tunnel.
Kane just looks up the decline, just hoping that he doesn't see a screaming jackal come down. Just, please tell me it listened, please tell me it listened.
Did you tell the jackal to stay?
He did.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the jackal stays.
Oh, thank God.
The spatter actually follows a moment after, drifting down on wings with paws outstretched
Just look,
in
it's
a
like,
gentle spiral.
I knew the quicklings could have done it if they tried hard enough.
And as the man leads you down the hall, he calls back, "It's part of my master's domain. The winds here will catch and cradle any falling creature that is, at the very least, not of an evil nature."
What? Does that count on the base of the mountain?
His domain reaches a great deal. I don't believe fully to the base, but
Damn it! I was just a bit too
for
far
quite
down.
a distance.
Well, we have his thanks as well for those friendly dispositioned griffins.
Oh yeah, those things were cool.
Indeed. Most creatures in the area will not attack or fight each other unless it is for the sole purpose of food.
That's why the bear was iffy.
So would that be how you tame them? Bring them to a mountain like this?
The effect really only lasts while they are on this mountain. I wouldn't suggest trying to kidnap one.
Oh no, of course not. I just mean, if you wanted to get one used to your presence.
It may be a start. However, I cannot comment on taming wild creatures with the Kirin's presence.
How long have you
Makes
been
sense.
here?
Since I was, he waves a hand somewhere around hip level.
Oh,
Quite young,
it's been a life committal.
indeed. And one that I find great comfort in. I have learned a great deal from him. It's a good life. I get to be the crazy old hermit on the mountain at times. Very enjoyable, and especially the older I've gotten.
Funny, we have a similar legend back from our home of a wicked storm witch.
Well, it can be an enjoyable thing. Having people come up the mountain expecting you to hand you the solutions to all their problems, only to get to tell them what the solutions actually would be and see them huff off. A few are wise enough to heed my words. A few more are both wise enough and distinguished enough, or with problems unique enough, to warrant to travel through the waterfall and into my master's home. With that, the tunnel opens up into a wide, light, airy room. It looks like a cross between a palace and a temple. The walls are lined with white marble, with pillars holding up the ceiling high overhead. There are benches offering seating and rest. A long water feature down the center of the room, a pond cut out of the floor itself, with water lilies floating on the top, fishes swimming through the depths of it, and actually disappearing beneath the floor at some points, as it seems that there are underground waterways for them to go to, perhaps further rooms, further ponds, and explore. The lighting is bright here. And there's almost a soft golden glow across various surfaces. And indeed, there is gold decorating others. The tops of the pillars are capped in it. There is scroll work along the walls, twining in and out of celestial script. Occasionally disappearing behind silken wall hangings, some of them painted with simple patterns, some of them left unadorned. One or two at various points painted with images, figures, scenes, like tapestry, but lighter and airier. And as you pass through the halls, you actually hear quiet voices here and there down differing hallways, branching rooms. As your guide explains, there are those of us who come here for instruction. Many who do choose to stay. I was one such. Long ago. Some will take the instruction and go out into the world. But most find more fulfillment continuing their studies and their expansions of wisdom, really. For we don't study tomes for knowledge alone. We study to find the connections beneath and to understand the world.
This smile that goes across Hassan's face, probably not seen. What have you learned in this long?
More than I could explain in our brief meeting.
Do you know the
But
other side?
less than the sum total of my master's knowledge. As for other sides, I can tell you that there are many sides to many things. More than perhaps you could fathom.
We'll see.
As such, until you were more specific, I would not be able to say. However, I am not the one you are here for.
No, but you are a very interesting person.
Well, thank you. Not many people have the wherewithal to say so. Of course, most people only see me when I am doing handstands beneath a waterfall and making them wait on me.
Oh, come on, that's still interesting.
That sounds like a waterfall kind of fun. That takes strength.
It's also a feat of endurance and pain ignorance.
Well, to be quite honest, I've only attempted it once or twice, and it's not always gone well.
I
Did you waterboard yourself?
I don't think I got that far.
I rather went head over heels and tumbled into the pond.
Oh.
I believe at that point, people usually get fed up with me if they haven't already gotten bored with my delaying tactics. Regardless,
When we get back up there, can I try it?
by all means.
Please.
By all means.
However, for now. And he leads you through the halls into almost a courtyard. The ceiling is open to the sky, even though you were under the impression that you were within the mountain itself. It's not as if the mountain is a caldera, it's as if the ceiling simply ceases to be and there's nothing above it. And you can see sunlight streaming in. There is a tall, twining tree at the center of this room, growing out of a small hillock of grass. The tree drips with purple flowers that spread over a good portion of the center of this room, almost like a canopy in itself. Around this hillock of grass and the tree, there is more water, but a shallow pond. Fish swim in it, tickled by the grass at the bottom, and then it rises up smoothly into a marble floor. And then you hear, very softly, the sound of clicking hooves on stone. very quiet, one by one, as stepping into view from around the tree, you see a magnificent creature. It is larger than the unicorn you encountered, huge. It's nearly as tall as the tree itself. It doesn't have a single horn at the front and center of its forehead, but instead 2 branching antlers. But they're more delicate than the deer's antlers that you might imagine, and more deeply grooved and spiraled. It's as if somebody took hundreds of fine golden wires in bundles and then twisted them into the shape of branches and forks and set them there to glisten upon this creature's brow. Its body glitters with golden scales, and the hair and the mane and tail, the tufts of fur at its hooves and beneath its chin, wave with every subtle, small motion that it makes as it paces slowly towards you. Keen, golden eyes glittering beneath its brow, and examining you with a wisdom that goes beyond ages. As this creature regards you, the guide that brought you here bows, the light above his hand snuffed out, and says, "These are the visitors I told you of, Bright One. I will allow them to make their request. I go now to guard the door." Makirin nods and says, "Thank you, Vigilant." Vigilant bows again and leaves. Makirin, the Bright One, turns and looks upon you
When it
and
does,
says,
also bows.
"Clarity has spoken of you, and I will hear your request. At this, if anybody needs a 5-minute break, we can pause."
We are right at the end, though.
I'd rather keep
Alright.
going a bit quicker,
Okay.
if possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that
Not
case,
too much.
not too much. The Bright One allows you a place to sit. He settles down himself beneath the tree and says, "I have heard something of your request. Lay the robe before me and let me see it."
Also, it rolls the whole thing out on the floor.
Right. With that, he looks down at it and takes a breath. And for a moment you're reminded of the moment before a dragon expelling a breath weapon, as his chest swells and his head rears back.
So I squints one eye.
But then there is a gentle lean forward, and the breath that is expelled looks like golden fire, but it doesn't rage like it. It flows like water and air, puffing out across the cloak and settling into the fabric itself. It seems to burn and dance on it for a moment, and you see from the bright flames a dark smoke rising up. And after a moment, the flames simmer down and extinguish, and you see where the dark robe used to lie, a white replica, edged in gold. He looks up at you and says, "It is pure. Now, tell me, travelers from another plane, what brings you here at this time?"
Thank you. And she'll look to the group.
I mean, individually or as a whole?
He flicks his ear and just
I
waits for
suppose we
you
should
to
be honest
answer.
about it.
We in a way, agents of the people of Threshold on our plane. ones who are working with the people on this side to maintain a balance to the world and a balance that is threatening to be upset by the various shrines being in their state that they are at the turn of the millennium. You've heard of the nightingales of this plane, yes?
He sort of cocks his head very slightly, and then gives a
God noise.
and then gives a shadow of a nod. I am distantly aware of their presence. Yes.
They intend to gain further power, raise terrible things. They are already twisting the natural world, circumventing the finality of Duskrell. They intend to march on the Deep Thicket, and further, on their way to Threshold to break through to the other side. And they are under the command of, was it the Lady of the Plains? Was the name?
Through the plains.
Yep. Under the command, worship, contract, anything of the Lady of the Plains.
And this is grave news indeed.
And we aim to be that balance in return. As she removes her mask, we are the ones of the other side, their counterparts.
Of course. I am familiar with Threshold's efforts. They do well. He turns to you, Alaris. And I can see now why you were sent. Child of Xanthus.
Yes.
Well, then.
Death is part of the natural order, isn't it? It's only right to keep it that way.
Indeed. And there has been much defiance of it of late.
That's why we're here.
And that is why I offer you the cleansing of this artifact and the keeping of it. I may offer you some advice, as you have come this way. However, I may also be able to offer you more, if you will tend or take. A difficult task for me, in fair trade. Would you hear me?
We're
It would.
listening.
Though I would ask that if it has a time frame, that is brought up first.
The time frame would be brief. I may afford quick travel to and from. It is not distant at all. However, should you perish there in this risky endeavor, then there is little I would be able to do. That said, if you are here, and if you are bearing artifacts of such power as this, and he noses the ropes, I would think it within your power to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm inclined to lend a hand if we can.
What are we up against?
First, the story. There are balances amongst the planes, and many of these balances come in cycles of time. I am part of one, but it is being threatened. Every 8,000 years, I do battle with an entity of darkness, my opposite. And every 8,000 years, we incapacitate one another for a time. This land was the site of our last battle, and thus it is where we reside until our next. However, I can feel my foe stirring, and it is 4,000 years too early. It has gained power and strength beyond mine, which should not be. I do not expect you or ask you to destroy this entity, merely to put it to sleep and slow its ascension as it grows overeager and out of line. This would be done by combat, and it would try to kill you, but it is in a weakened state, strong as it is becoming.
More aware of the trajectory than its current position.
He blinks at you. Precisely. I could comfortably leave it for another 2,000 years and deal with it myself. However, earlier dealt with is probably for the best. But if I were to make the attempt, I must say that I am still recovering, as of yet, from our last battle. And I am not willing to incite another struggle between us at this time.
I'm just gonna look to the group and.
If you do this, I will offer you boons that will strengthen you further.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Caldwell, Sana, and Larissa. We've got 2 or 3 days spare, so.
Got a few more, and if there is transport involved, I suppose we could make an attempt.
Absolutely. Though I would maybe ask at least in the morning of tomorrow.
He nods. I can offer you rooms for the night,
Be very appreciated.
shelter, and sustenance.
We have to move fast afterwards, though. We are on a tight schedule, but I think this might be doable.
This would be very helpful.
Definitely.
In
And
the
finally,
meantime-
keep you from injury. I think it's a worthy cause.
And for that promise, and for your travel, and your travails in the larger world, I may advise you somewhat on this Lady of the Plains.
Nods.
I do not know her full identity, but I have some knowledge of what she came from. Tell me, child, he looks at Alaris, do you know how your patron came to be, and why he is not considered a god?
No. It's never really come up in conversation.
He is a rather laconic one. Allow me to explain. Sometimes there are essences in this world, concepts, thoughts that coalesce. And sometimes these essences can gain power. And when power is gained, sometimes they gain identity. Not everything goes through this process. And those that do, we refer to as divines, or semi-divines. Not true celestials, not true gods, not angels.
Not the ones who were there from the beginning.
No. They are born later and in different ways. Xanthus is one such being. A thought, a concept, an inevitability. Perhaps the shaving of a god. but something that was formless at first, and then gained form, and thought, and a name. And so he became himself. There is always latent power in these concepts. You, the small one, but strong, he looks towards Calda.
Yeah.
I believe that your power, from the heart of you, is derived from another mote, unnamed, without a mind. If I sense it right, you are driven by the raw love of family and connection.
Yeah, you got that on the nose.
It is true of many mortals. I would not be surprised if that mote is near fulfillment, though it has not achieved it as of yet.
How long would that take?
It could take anywhere from centuries to millennia, to days. There is no progression.
Alfon's eyes light up. I'll keep an eye on that then.
That said, imagine, if you will, an essence, a mote of something, not yet a consciousness. Merely an idea, but a powerful idea.
Does there need to exist one of opposite
Now,
villains?
no, there need not. Many of these ideas encompass themselves and their opposites. Others are more separated, but there is no rule of this. Imagine, if you will, that this essence, formless as it is partway coalesced, and then it comes into contact with something more solid, more secure. Something that somehow consumes it and subsumes it, and creates something new. Something that perhaps comes closer to a god than it ought. That is the Lady of Plains.
Do you know what subsumed this essence? What the cause was?
A being of consciousness and thought in its own right, and enough power to not be consumed itself or to lose itself. Something that existed, but was able to bring into itself that which did not yet truly exist. It is an enigma. It's a being that exists both in this world and trapped by it, and beyond it at once.
You said too close.
Too close, yet not quite. It cannot claim godhood itself, but it exists on a border between realms, many realms. This world and others, one plane and the next, life and death, consciousness and not, existence and emptiness. It claims a name, but the name itself is empty, and a title, the Lady of Plains. And if this being were to gain more power, it may very well upset the order of all.
When did this start? How old is this title? How old is this being?
He closes his eye for a moment. Less than 1,000 years.
So this cycle of shrines is the first opportunity it has to seize.
I believe so.
Do you have any insight on what the thing that existed already was, where it came from?
This plane. It must be this plane and this version of it, for it is bound to this more strongly than any other. It did not come from your side. Its home is here. Or it was.
At least for now.
I would believe it to be immortal. But if it is a mortal being or beast, it would have been a powerful one. And one that was capable of taking in such power. Whether this means that it was itself a celestial bound to here, a humanoid, a dragon. That part is unclear. I only know that it was not simply a spirit.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I've had this odd thing going in my head that is a off-the-wall theory. You wouldn't happen to know the name of Aelin Stormgust, would you?
Would the Karen know that? Let me see. Kind of cocks his head. It sounds like a mortal name, but not one that I have personally encountered.
It was one who had apparently worked with Threshold before. The last cycle of things. The last time. Ones of the other side were an issue. And there's at least folklore on ours of her chasing her shadow across the plains. Just a...
Possibly she may have encountered this being if it was in its infancy at the time.
I'll need something more than that, but the wisdom is always appreciated, and always will be.
Do any of the rest of you have questions?
None quite on this scale. I feel like many of them are unimportant right now. It might be best to wait until after we complete our mission for you.
I would have a quick one, perhaps on another topic. A request for a friend, perhaps. You are a great, powerful, wondrous celestial being. But you came from somewhere, yes?
I did.
You were at a beginning in infancy?
In a manner of speaking. There was a time I was new to the worlds.
I came across a celestial on my side. A Pegasus.
Hmm.
And additionally, I has also come across, and she will produce the horn, a unicorn. Hurt and corrupted by the shifting of the plains. Golthius tree planted itself at a shrine that it protected.
It is a dark thing when one of our kind is corrupted and succumbs to that.
I did all I could to cleanse what there was. But that position remains empty. or it was, but I had given residence to the new friend of the Pegasus. And it, I suppose, took up the mantle a bit. I was wondering if you had any sort of help or advice for a celestial guardian just starting out?
Hmm. There's an expression on this face, this cross between dragon and horse, that nonetheless almost makes you think of a smile. You carry ingredients for potions, and the mechanics thereof.
Nods.
Have you an empty vial?
Yes.
Take
Always.
some. Fill one with the water of my spring. He nods to the pool of water around him.
She'll take a step forward.
Just fill a vial with it easily enough. It is crystal clear. And the bright one says, when you return, shave some of that horn into that vial, and then feed it to your celestial friend.
And she will take out those unicorn horn shavings she still has.
Mhm.
Should I do it right before, or would now be okay?
It will have no effect on the potency either way.
She will put the dust in.
Right. You essentially have, let's just say, a Pegasus potion.
Okay.
Very special.
She kind of turns it in her hand. Thank you so much. I don't know if this is an equal trade or anything, but and she will produce the vial of water from that shrine.
All right.
Would it
He
perhaps
nods.
be in a way a bit of a handshake across the sides?
It is a fine gesture and a fine gift.
Place it down in front.
I will keep it and treasure it well.
Thank you. I'm sure my friend would love to meet you.
Perhaps one day.
Then remember the name Barakiel.
He looks over at you, Alaris, and says, would these robes be for you?
Have we decided on that?
I
He
think you're
looks
the best
towards those
candidate,
right.
personally.
It's almost like they were furnished just for you. Fit you quite well, I imagine.
Well, my counterpart did wear it.
Seems most fitting.
Give him a try.
He'll put on the robes.
Right. As you pick them up and start to shrug them on, I believe they do take attunement to actually start working. But
Yeah.
as you start to pull them on, you see where he touches them, color starts to almost bleed from his hands across the fabric, deepening it and enriching it into a dark, dark purple. The runes at the edges that were silver on the black version, gold on the white version, turn into a clear light violet that almost seems to glow in shimmering patches as the robes shift around him. The edges become adorned in black, and the colors are very reminiscent of the lantern, the mask, and the robes of Xanthus. The Kirin nods and says, your patron's touch is apparent.
And he said he wouldn't help.
but they should suit you well.
It's funny. His follower, as he gestures to Lars, is also a parent. Okay, just laughing behind his mask.
One second. Lars? I know he can be difficult sometimes, but I've had some, success much to his irritation. Would you have any words for him right now?
Kate immediately puts a hand on her wrist, just like, maybe contact him in your sleep again.
No, just real quick. Do you have anything to say to Xanthus, Lars?
No.
Alright,
Thank you, mainly.
perfect. And she's going to...
Oh dear.
Oh, Christ.
Give me another wisdom check.
it was perception usually, wasn't it?
Yeah, make it a perception. Go ahead. You'd have proficiency on this by now anyway. Oh dear God. I swear to God, if you get a 30.
Ah,
Nope.
Very close. Honestly, the DC shifted down a little bit anyway, but you go into this ethereal realm, this path, and you see the area filled with mist. And you don't see Xanthus, but you hear him, and he very dryly says, I can talk to my follower of my own accord.
I know, but it takes a while. This is the moment.
Tell him that I accept his thanks and appreciate his service.
Alright, any others to the bright one?
No.
Alright. Nice talking to you.
In the meantime, Kane just looks at the Kieran like, she likes to talk to Xanthus. Well, weirdly, I think more than Lars does. I think it's the whole fascination with things greater than herself thing.
There's a back in.
Oh, that was quick.
Yep. He accepts your thanks. And, player brain. Forget. She quotes it
Dude,
exactly.
Like a minute.
Yes.
And a half.
Why are we here again, Conrad?
He appreciates Alaris' service.
Yes.
Two things.
I couldn't remember the phrasing.
All right. So, with that then, Nikirin stands up and says, one of my disciples will show you to rooms. You may rest, recover your strength, and return here in the morning.
Son will give another bow. Thank you, Bright One.
Yep. Alaris will continue to attend to the robes of the Archmagi.
And you will be able to find that. They should be in the SRD. If not, they're definitely in the book, and I can get you that information if you lack it.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Archmagi is in the book, though. I think you could honestly drag and drop it.
Yeah.
Alright. So, while you get used to that, you are led to some actually very spacious and very comfortable rooms to stay in. They might be a little bit bright for some people's taste, but they are constructed to fill every need that you would have. And I'm sure that you would find a way to draw curtains around the sleeping area, Alsana, when it comes nightfall,
Yes.
and get your rest.
Kane takes one look at the shield polishing table and goes, ah, it's like it was built for me.
Alright,
We'll head
so
out for the night.
we're gonna go ahead and call this done there, just as it's a good ending point. Alaris, you've got your robes. The rest of you have a brief mission and the promise of greater boons beyond. So, we close the 11th of Harvest Dawn and will open again on the 12th in the morning. As each of you you sleep a relatively dreamless sleep. The only events that might filter into your dreams are vague and contented ones. With that, we'll call it a night.
Yeah,
Great session already.
Thank you.
good session.
Until next time.
Till
Till
next
next
time.
time.
Till next